Welcome back to Northern Perspective, everybody. I'm on time.
The only reason I wasn't on time is because I was dealing with something.
Sometimes what happens in the middle of the night is your child, who is of the special needs variety, you find them in your bathroom, and you're not really sure why they're in your bathroom, but they're standing there. And then when you go and put them to bed the following night, you're like, where's all of your stuffed animals? They are supposed to be here, especially a huge stuffed bear.
Yeah, it's bigger than he is.
And if you're in the southern Ontario region today, you would know that we've had thunderstorms and torrential rains all day. And what he has done in the past is open windows and, just for fun, throw out stuffed animals. Guess what was outside?
Soaking wet.
All night and all day. So there we go. That's what happens sometimes.
Apparently my gain's too low.
Apparently your gain is too low.
Yes.
Never changes. So let's do that again.
Anyway, give me 60 seconds to get the rules pinned in the chat, but it is the same three that you guys know and love. Number one, please respect each other and the show. That includes everybody in the chat, everybody on the screen, and our moderators as well. This evening we have Randy from Northern Perspective who's going to be collecting questions for the Q&A part of the show. So if you want to ask a question, just tag at Randy from Northern Perspective. And we also have Jester joining us this evening. Rule number 2 is no selling, soliciting, or spamming in the chat. And number 3 is please don't use profanity.
So I adjusted the gain. So hopefully that should be good enough. So anyway, folks, please do not forget to like the stream. It tells YouTube to suggest us to more folks out there. And a bunch of people that, even though they have their notifications turned on, even though they are subscribed, sometimes YouTube says, I don't feel like showing you this stream tonight. So it's important for all of the folks that actually do want to watch this and are not notified yet. So if you folks wouldn't mind doing that, that would be absolutely fantastic to do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that are Monday previous to that, which is Sunday, night of politics. Today felt like Saturday.
It did, yeah. It was really weird.
I don't know why I said Monday even. So thank you for joining us for a night of politics. And I'm looking forward to this one. Tanya kind of has an idea of what we're talking about, but I've been poring over some stuff. And there's a bunch of stuff that I actually got into the weeds on, of some polls that have actually been released for about a week that we need to talk about. And it's some good stuff that's actually in these polls. I looked at well, we'll get into it later. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And if you haven't already watched it, we have dropped an interview with the illustrious John Barlow, the Shadow Minister for Agriculture today.
And agri-food.
And we chatted about beef. We chatted about why it's so expensive. We chatted about tariffs. We chatted about China. And we chatted about something that politicians talk a lot about, but they don't often talk to, which is farmers. Farmers across this country. I feel bad for the farmers in a lot of cases because they're almost a political football sometimes. But they never get to play the game themselves. They're just tossed all over the place, and they're sitting there saying, well, when are you actually going to do something? Because I keep hearing my name, I keep hearing my profession, but nobody ever actually talks to me about this. So it was a great chat about that. And if you are a member, there's going to be a new members only series of content that is starting with John Barlow. And it's a quick hits, non-political question set that we do after the interview. And well, as John Barlow said, he said that was when he actually got nervous. So,
we didn't ask anything mean, so it's okay.
No, but clearly we should live up to the nerves and ask some more difficult questions.
No, but I just, it's so hard sometimes if somebody's asking you questions about yourself. I find it very difficult to answer.
Right. So Anyway, folks, there we are. So thank you for coming out. Anyway, we already dealt with House
With the
rules.
rules,
Right?
we did.
So let us get through some of the pre-chat activity, and then we will get to it. Moderators, we have Jester and Jack, or
Randy?
Randy.
Randy! Have you been hanging out with Randy?
Randy. Jessica Van Luke for $7. Some guy from the Toronto Sun said the polls indicate another Liberal decade, which makes no sense with what the polls are showing now.
Was that guy Warren Kinsella?
Yeah, I don't think that guy was Brian Lilly. So, Randy Platt for $25. Woot! Gotta love that dancing controller. And
you.
Jessica Van Luke for $2.79. Lauren Gunter is the reporter's name that said that. I don't see that. Plus, as Brian Lilly has said yet again, voters are fickle, polls change, and campaigns matter.
Well, and what the UK had I guess their version of conservative government for 12 years, and everybody was so fed up by the end of it that they voted their version of liberal, and they didn't like that either. I don't know. I don't think in Westminster parliamentary systems we really keep our governments for a whole lot longer than a decade. Like, we're kind of stuck this way, we assume anyways, until 2029, but by that point it will be 14 years, and I think by that time it will be like Canadians will be ready for change.
I think it's very interesting that this was the first super chat. I don't know if Jessica was peeking behind the scenes. She can't. But we're actually going to address kind of this question a little later. So just hang tight on that. And we think good news is coming. It's not coming tomorrow, but good news is going to be coming. So.
Well, and eventually we will get a conservative government. It might take a little while, but if we all band together and we all work hard, I think that we will get it. And I think that for most people, taking a gentle approach is probably going to be better than just being like, you're stupid, why are you voting Liberal?
Well, as we say, every Liberal voter is a potential conservative voter.
That's right.
So
Even you.
Kickin' Blue for $2. Hello. Hey, if Mario and I can go from voting Liberal to this passionate about a conservative platform, that tells you all you need to know.
There you go.
Kickin' Blue from $2. Hello from Nova Scotia. Don't forget to hype. Thank you very, very much for that. And shout out to all the folks out in Nova Scotia and near Barrington Passage, as well as near Miramichi.
In New Brunswick.
In New Brunswick. Milo Nexus for $2. Ryan, should Ottawa back Cohere AI, in your opinion? Ottawa's not ready to talk anything AI. They're really not. This there's not a simple conversation when it comes to AI. There's many different types of conversations. So people often ask me, what do you think about AI? And that is such a huge question. It all depends on what you mean. Do you mean defense? Do you mean cybersecurity? Do you mean, and people will say yes. And I'll be like, I don't have 5 hours to go through every single issue. But seriously, it's almost like somebody asks you, what do you think about the NHL? And you're like, well, which hockey team? And they're like, all of them. So you're like, okay, do you have 5 hours? Because I'm going to start with the Vancouver Canucks and work my way east. So it's kind of the same thing. But here's what I do think. Canada, in my humble opinion, Canada is a very good geographical location for AI data centers. It is very, very good. There's a lot of people that talk about like toxicity and bad water, and that has nothing really to do with what we're talking about when it comes to actual AI.
There was actually one case of that in the States, and it wasn't the data center itself that was causing the pollution in the water. It was the construction team. They put some stuff down the drain that they were not supposed to put down the drain, and a bunch of people got sick.
Yeah, so AI is it uses a lot of heat. AI data centers primarily use air as coolant. Any data center on the planet uses air primarily to cool. They use different architecture within the data centers. They have things called heat stacks. They have, hot aisles, cold aisles, depending on how much heat is actually being exerted by the hardware. And then for the really hot data centers, and those usually include AI, they also have water cooling, and they will usually use that primarily only in the middle of the summer when it gets really, really hot and the air outside doesn't really help. So there's different ways to use it, but I think we should be embracing data centers up in Canada. We should have our own Silicon Valley, but it should be further in the north.
Yeah, where it's colder and where there's more land.
And we have a $70 super chat. Thank you very much. This is from David Dorward. Thank you so much, David. And David says, "You rock, plain and simple." Thank you. We cannot do what we do without all of you. So thank you. And we're about 1,100 likes behind, folks. So if we can get that up, that would be great. Repeat in BC, great to see you again. $10. The recent Elevate Sam Cooper interview tells us everything Canadians need to know. The CCP doesn't want Pierre to be PM. That we knew.
Yeah, that we knew already.
That must mean he would be bad for China. Yes, it would be. And
Yeah,
therefore good for Canadians. Yes.
They would not be bringing in those vehicles if it was a conservative government.
No.
Guaranteed.
We would continue to trade with China
Yeah, I mean, completely avoiding trade with China is not possible.
they make everything.
Yeah, they make a lot of stuff. They need a lot of
See the shirt that I got from the gondola in Banff, this was made in China.
What I was going to say is a lot of our agricultural products end up there because they have so many people to feed. It's unavoidable, but I think that the conservatives would have been wiser about what they were trading with China.
And I think they would actually take foreign interference seriously.
Yeah.
And that would make it a lot more difficult for China to do business, and I don't mean trading, in Canada. So absolutely.
Well, and have you guys noticed that if you're on Facebook, if you're on X, if you're wherever, there are a lot more liberal trolls, like a lot. And I don't know if that's just organic. I suspect it's not. If it's bots, if it's from overseas, no idea. But it's very, very strange.
Well, and it's funny because we're actually looking to talk to more folks within the Chinese diaspora community about what is actually going on within those ridings where there is a high concentration of people from China. So, and we've had Sam on a couple times, and I'm glad he's getting out there. And it makes complete sense. We had some of our own opinions before we talked to Sam Cooper. Sam validated a lot of them and brought to light a lot of other new things. China absolutely does not want a conservative in government.
No, and on the other side, Russia doesn't really care. They just want chaos. Yeah.
They don't care about who's in power. They just want the democratic system to be as dysfunctional as possible. So,
yeah.
And we have Dwayne Kostick and Shirley Platts joining NP supporter. Thank you very, very much. And Glenn Stewart, member for 31 months. Love Canada. A red ribbon on my hat in protest. There you go. And Brian Campbell, member for 11 months. Hi, NP Nation. Proud to be a member, and we're proud to have you. Miriam Rachel for $14. Ryan, you mentioned last week you were bullied in school. I was too, as I was always socially awkward. I admit I've checked those old bushies' social media, and they're avid Carney supporters. They haven't changed.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
Isn't that fun? Isn't that interesting?
I was at the mall with my friend today, and we were just getting some coffee and talking, and she's like, I went to grade school with that girl. She was mean to me.
You see them.
It happens. It happens. I moved a little bit further away from where I grew up, so I don't get it as often.
I made peace with, not with the bullies themselves, but I got over it.
Yeah, I think there's an age that you hit that it's just like, I don't care anymore. I think for me, that age was 33. I'm just like, don't care about anything.
Whippers SS for $5. I'm actually in your time zone for once. Ottawa has been great, except for navigating around the Iron Man race today. Yeah, I bet. Because that will make it difficult getting around. Mr. Roscoe Pico for $14. The public must demand legal action with devastating consequences to the perpetrators against the government actors who have devastated Canada and its people, or the train of evil will continue later. And this is where people need to let all of their candidates know. It's funny, we've been talking to a few people about this, from municipal all the way up to federal. Every candidate that you end up talking to in an election, whether it's municipal, provincial, or federal, we have to make it known that I demand accountability and transparency. I demand accountability for politicians that take advantage of being a politician.
Yeah.
And you need to provide a good platform to me in order to get my vote, to explain how that's not going to happen anymore. We've seen it with the Ford government in Ontario.
Yeah.
We've seen it with the EB government in BC.
We've seen it with Andrea Horvath here in Hamilton.
Yep. Olivia Chow in Toronto.
In Toronto, yep.
Folks have their stories with their own province, no matter what the premier is. So this is where we have to be demanding this type of platform in order to actually force these people to win our vote. And if enough people do it, and they hear it from everywhere, that's what pressure does. And, you know, we are going to continue to advocate at the federal level that they implement very solid penalties and punishments that actually have a lot of teeth, that would dissuade people from actually breaking ethics laws, in order to stop this from happening. And the Conservatives have said in the past that they are committed to doing that. We've talked to many of them, and we've talked to Pierre. They are committed to continuing to do that once they actually get into government.
And they better, because I think it's a very strong statement to be like, you know what, we've had the past 12 or 14 years of corruption in government from the Liberals. We're going to get in here, we're going to clean it up and make sure nobody else can do it again, including us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do for $5. When dealing with Liberal voters, all you have to do is calmly ask, what have they actually done? Then lay out the facts. I don't disagree. And do for $20. Didn't the former Liberal MPs you had on during the election say this would be around the time the Carney honeymoon would end, followed by a rapid decline? I don't know if they said rapid, but they said that the honeymoon is going to end.
Yeah, what I recall, because I was so upset that night, you know, I was showing Dan out and he had given me a hug and he said, you know, it's going to be okay. Pierre's going to get a seat probably in Alberta, which is exactly what happened. And in a year and a half, maybe then we'll be going to election. Now, I don't think anybody could have predicted Mark Carney essentially buying himself a majority. But honestly, I think that's a good thing in this case, because it will give Canadians the opportunity to see exactly how bad it is, and it'll give more time for more people to switch over.
And speaking of that, we'll be talking about that in a few minutes. Jessica Van Luke for $7. My cousin got married this weekend, and guess what? I and my parents weren't invited.
Oh no.
Welcome to my toxic family. Dark humor, Ryan. Dark humor. There you go.
Well, I guess on the plus side, you didn't have to get a gift. You can just like take whatever money you would have spent on a gift and go for a nice
Go out for dinner yourself.
Yeah.
Say thanks a lot. Do for $5 for China. Trade best to go back to Harper era with heavy regulations and restrictions.
100%.
Krista Wolf for $20. Hey, someone actually spotted Carney in Parliament before summer break. He probably got lost.
This isn't my airplane.
Yeah. This isn't my luxury bouteille. Brian Campbell for $20. Tony and Ryan, I'm very upset. Mark Carney has no right to ban the clergy of any faith, to ban the mention of God. When a soldier came home unalive, my grandfather fought in World War I. My father fought World War I in Europe. Am I wrong to feel?
No, not at all. The government is saying that they did it so that they can be more inclusive to people who aren't Christian. Which, I mean, okay, fine, but at the same time, Canada is a Christian nation. It was founded on Christian beliefs and values. And, I mean, to me, again, because I'm conservative, it's like, if that's the way we've always done it, that's the way we should continue to do it.
Well, it's funny how they get to define what inclusive is, right? For some issues, they're like, well, everyone gets to use this space, whether you like it or not. But in other cases, these folks, yeah, you're not allowed to say certain things, and we're not allowed to say certain things to avoid making other people uncomfortable. Here's the reality, and this isn't for our community. This is for other people. In a society, someone will always be uncomfortable, no matter what somebody says.
Well, and it's that individual's responsibility to get their emotions in check, quite frankly, and deal with it.
It's called being a grown-up.
Yeah.
You know, do we go to church? No, we don't go to church. But do we get angry at people who say, God bless you? No. We actually are very flattered about that. And we celebrate it because that obviously means something very significant to that person. And I will stand by them to defend the right to practice their faith, to the right to talk about their faith. And, you know, it doesn't matter what faith it is, as long as it's not infringing on anything else. Infringing doesn't mean make uncomfortable.
No, it's like serious stuff.
Infringing, you know, basically makes, it prevents you from doing something, or it forces you to do something. So, I'm sorry, but what? Are we going to ban the word God from all of our television shows now? Are we going to ban it from all of our books? Are we going to... This is the silliness when you talk about inclusivity and language police.
Yeah.
You know, we need to worry less about inclusive language and worry more about jobs, and worry more about crime, and worry more about actually doing something for this country instead of just going around and making a bunch of announcements and accomplishing absolutely nothing. So my long answer to your question is, no, you do not, you are not wrong to be feeling what you feel. And for folks that disagree, you know what we're going to say.
Manage your emotions?
Write an email, write a letter, and say this is absolutely disgusting, especially when you're talking about soldiers and they're coming home, because in many cases, some of their last thoughts are A, their family, and B, God.
What's that saying? There's no atheist in a foxhole?
Well, that's one of the sayings. Yeah. So anyway, I don't want the whole show to be about that.
Yeah.
But
you can write an email or a letter to Mark Carney, or who's the current Minister of Justice? Is it McGuinty still?
No, it's Fraser.
It's Fraser. No, or sorry, not Justice. The other one, Defense. Yeah, McGuinty. Okay, or Minister McGuinty. And I'm told that if you do send a paper letter to the House of Commons at this time of year, they will forward it on to the constituency office.
So there you go. Selena for $5. I'm not from those by-elections. I wanted to help, so I donated to the Conservatives to help now. I feel good even if they don't win. Fingers crossed. Yeah, and
awesome.
You know what? For the Toronto riding, for the Vancouver riding, you know, is it likely that they're going to win? Maybe not, but it's still important to get out there. It's still important to get the message out there, because you're not just campaigning for this time. You're getting the message out for the next time as well.
That's right.
That's why we're going to be at the campaign launch of the Toronto by-election riding in Beaches, East York, I think is the riding.
Yeah,
name.
let me just double check. I don't want to give you guys bad info.
So
yeah, Beaches, East York.
So that's where Jim Sirabos is running, and can't wait to go there. Can't wait to shake the guy's hand, and let him know that there's a lot of people that are standing behind him. So it's tough. It's really tough to sign up to be a candidate in a riding where you may not think you have a chance of winning. It's really, really tough, especially if it's a really red riding. You're going to get some interesting responses at the doors. So the folks that actually do stand up and say, yeah, I will run, I have a lot of respect for them. I do.
But you know, it's interesting. We had an EDA meeting the other night, and our MP was saying in their recent canvassing, they've had people who will tell either him or tell the canvassers that you know, I voted for Mark Carney and I made a huge mistake.
Yes.
So again, you might not get them this time. You might not get them next time. You might get them the time after that.
But the important thing is to campaign hard anyway,
Yeah.
so that everybody hears the message. And they may, to Tony's point, they may not listen right then and there, but you may say something, and then a month later, 3 months later, something happens or something doesn't happen, and Carney says something, and they remember what you said. So you never know.
Well, and humans were kind of egocentric, where unless something happens to us that affects us, we're not likely to change. And the same goes for politics.
Yep. Anubis Hades for $5. I said it right. Bots in Canada think May's GDP was 3% in an article that stated 0.3% GDP growth. That's when you know you're dealing with bots. Happy long weekend. So there's two different things going on. So they said that the economy grew by 0.3% GDP in May.
Yep.
And what they've also said is because of that, annualized, that's 3% GDP growth over the whole thing. Well, here's the problem with that. If you did that every single month, then if you go back to January, where we had negative 0.1% GDP, and you annualize that, well, that's negative 1.2% GDP growth. So this is why this annualized garbage is garbage. Like when you take 1 month and you say, oh, well, you know, that's 3.4%. Come on. Let's just see what it is at the end of the year, because anything can happen month to month to month. And one of the main reasons GDP went up to 0.3%
was
gas.
Sorry, I stole your thunder there.
So let's be real. Let's just call a spade here. It's the same reason we have that trade surplus that you see going around. It's Alberta oil. So how about Canada says, thanks, Alberta, for that trade surplus. Thanks for propping up our economy. But yeah, we're not going to call that out on the mainstream media, are we? To Dalek for $14. Have you heard that Edmonton police has already embraced the censorship bills and is openly soliciting non-crime hate incidents? They used examples of people wanting visa overstayers to be deported.
Yes, I was looking at that today. Actually, can you pull up the browser to show everybody? Because this is ridiculous. I thought this was a joke or like an elaborate prank, but it doesn't appear to be. So we're going to pull up the browser and I'll show you guys.
Where's the link?
I can just tell it to you and you can type it in. Maybe. It's crazy. I mean, here in Hamilton, within the last couple of weeks, we had 2 young men shot and killed. One was 18 and one was 16, I believe. And, you know, halfway across the country, this is what their concerns are. That's insane. Okay. So it's edmontonpolice.ca / report hate.
All right.
So this is the website that it took you to.
Hold on. I'm going now.
Oh, you're going now.
Okay. You can talk now.
This is it. So I guess what had happened, from what I was able to gather, Edmonton police had posted about this on X and then took it down very shortly after. But this was the website that was linked in their post, and it's still active. And I'm just sitting here asking, you know, what is the purpose of this? Somebody said something mean to me online. Like, there's a huge difference between calling somebody stupid and saying something defamatory. And in the latter case, we have a court system that deals with that.
So here's the definition. Hate-motivated incident definition. It is a non-criminal action motivated in whole or in part by the suspect's bias, prejudice, or hate based on race, national or ethnic origin, language, color, religion, etc., etc., etc. An example of this could be a dispute over a parking spot where a person calls another person a racialized... What?
Yeah. Like, is this really where things are going? And
So I have a question for the Edmonton police. Do you not have enough to do? If you don't have enough to do, come on down to Hamilton. We have
lots
things
of
for
stuff
you to do. Go on down to Toronto. They will find things for you to do. If you have literally nothing to do and you are sitting around and you're like, well, we need stuff to do. Sarge, what should we do? Well, I know. Let's open a website so that people can report name calling. Let's do that because we need things to do. We need to justify our existence. Okay.
You know, do I think you should be calling people names? No. That you don't do that in polite society, right? We all know that. But I also don't think you should be reporting it to the police.
Alberta, what's going on? What's going on over in Edmonton? Come on. What is going on? Okay. That is wild.
Oh yeah, I guess you didn't see that.
No. I was working on the other thing.
Right.
So thanks for that. Be keeping an eye on that one now. Whiffers SS for $10. 5 blocks away from the Hill, there's a memorial for victims of communism. Tribute to liberty. I can't reconcile that with the kinds of bills the libs want to pass. Yeah, I don't disagree.
And I can't understand that Canadians are just going along with this. Whenever you ask the government to make you safe, you're giving up some sort of freedom, even if it's small, right? For example, they're like, oh, well, kids need to be safe online. Instead of letting the parents do it, now everybody is probably going to have to provide an ID to get on Facebook.
There's this concept called diminishing returns.
Yeah.
Many people know what it is, but the point is that for every positive action you take, there is a corresponding negative action. So when it comes to civil population and government, for every freedom you give up to the government in order for them to make you safe, there is a corresponding negative action, right? That makes you less free. So the more freedom you give up, it diminishes the return that you actually get from the government. So think of it as an investment. You're investing your freedom. You're giving your freedom away to a certain degree to the government, and their responsibility is to take that freedom and then make you safe. Well, the diminishing returns happen very, very quickly. There's a certain number of freedom that we have to give up, like laws.
Right.
And,
you're not allowed to kill people, right?
right. So there's legislation and, civil rules and things like that. But there comes a point where the more freedom that you invest past that, there's a lot less that you actually get back and more negative consequences. So this is where we have to be very vigilant about how much freedom we actually surrender as a society to our government. Linda Rutger for $5. Without God, there is a coarsening of the society, and without God, democracy will not and cannot endure. Ronald Reagan.
Well said. Thank you.
Peter Witten for $5. What is the square root of pi? And what is dog spelt backwards? Anyways, just saying. Mega Man Zero for $5. I'm uncomfortable no matter what you said, Ryan, because of my wooden chair. There you go. Raptor Guy for $5. Does anyone think Jamie Baptiste is the next Liberal to resign? Based on what has happened earlier, that's a possibility.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Especially, again, I don't have inside knowledge into this. This is an absolute wild guess, but he was probably ostracized after going to the media, because that's a huge no-no. Like, what happens in caucus stays in caucus. And if you break that rule, there usually are consequences.
The one crazy caper for $10. $10. Thank you very much. Critical thinker for $5. How will he swear on the Bible work in court now? Well, that's a great question, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Rusty Shackelford for $5. Don't bother writing McGuinty. He never gets back to you and doesn't care. He's been my MP for far too long. Best case is you get a thanks for writing, but he still sees.
He still does see it. We've had so many MPs say, like, we're not always able to get back to people, but we do see it, or the staff see it, or they'll like print out all of the ones that are regarding the same topic and just like stick them on the MP's desk, and then they'll know, oh, okay, so there's, you know, this many people that want to talk about the military banning God in their prayers. So
I'm going to try and get through these because they're relevant, and then we're going to get to some good stuff, folks. We have Mimaru, member for 11 months. No mention of God for our newest army recruits. I guess not. Dudu for member for 35 months. Now, will this ban of God only apply to Christians? That's the magical question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Oh, Peachy for $5. The Canadian Constitution opens with this: whereas Canada is founded upon principles that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law. Funny thing is they're not going to be able to change that.
Not without some significant work, anyway.
No. Brian Kelm for $20. Thanks, Ryan. I'm writing to retired Colonel Alex Ruff. He is my MP and lives from the same village town of Tara and old friend of the family on that fact. All right. Excellent.
Awesome.
And Rusty Shackelford for $5. With the state of Canada currently, I'm sure my grandfathers, both very high-ranking military and one a former Reform MP, are turning in their graves. Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Philip Edmondson, Ben Franklin, safety versus liberty. Quote goes here. Yeah. Edmonton Police is catching up to UK. Get ready. Kickin' Blue for $5. In Britain, the police ignore crimes like shoplifting and stabbings because they are too busy trying to police hurdy words on the internet.
Right. And again, there's a huge difference between, you know, mean words on the internet and defamation. And we already have mechanisms to deal with defamation online.
Yeah. And Stephen C. for $5. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Yes, that's
an excellent quote.
That is the quote that he was referring to. And Ravis Ace for $5. There has never been a soldier in a foxhole who didn't believe in God in that moment. There's your quote. Okay, folks. So I was doing some looking. And I started to ask some questions. I started looking into more about what has been happening with the latest polls. Now, if you recall, about 6 months ago, maybe longer, we had said that what will happen eventually is that Canadians are going to slowly start waking up to Mark Carney. And what will happen is that as Mark Carney starts putting through some of these policies or even these fake announcements like the pipeline deal and things like that, he's going to alienate a lot of the environmentalists from his party. Stephen Guilbeault fired a warning shot initially by resigning from cabinet, and most recently he resigned, and we heard that there's a bunch of other disgruntled Liberal MPs.
Was it like 13 or 14 of them?
14.
Yeah.
Jonathan Wilkinson resigned, and we surmise that a lot of those more progressive people are going to move from the Liberals back over to the NDP. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now we have data to actually show that that's exactly what's happening. So let's take a look, shall we? This is near the top of the latest report from Angus Reid, and they talk about the fact that climate change is actually starting to rise again in the minds of a lot of Canadians because of the wildfires and all of that. And the fact that Carney has talked about announcing things that are not necessarily related to the environment, but can be interpreted by some folks as being anti-environment, they say this: the political consequences of this are evident. While the Liberals continue to lead the Conservatives in federal vote intention, their advantage has narrowed to 4 points, as 1 in 6, almost 20%, 1 in 6 of those who voted Liberal in 2025 now say they would support the NDP. Among these Liberal to NDP switchers, climate change ranks as a top concern for half, twice the number among those who remain with Carney's party, 50% to 27% respectively. Carney's personal disapproval rating among these past Liberals who now would cast a ballot for the NDP is 31%. while it is just 2% among those who voted Liberal last year and would do so again. Carney's overall approval sits at 51%, down 9 points from a 60% high registered in February. So this is where we're going to start to look at some things. So Carney's approval has slipped 9 points since a February high. So that's significant, right? In February, he's at his peak. And since then, it has been a slow downward trend. The other thing that's interesting is that people are starting to make up their mind. The don't know and can't say has been decreasing. So it was 15% and it was around that area before that. But now people are starting to figure out who Mark Carney is, and his disapproval is starting to trend upward. That's gone up 8 points, and it's gone up 13 points since June of last year, folks. That's significant. Next. This is stats from people who voted Liberal in the last election, but are now declaring their vote intention to be NDP. So, approval of Mark Carney, 2025 Liberal voters. So those that are still Liberal, surprise, surprise, 56% of those are they're Carney fanatics. 41% moderately approve. 2% moderately disapprove. So that's still interesting, folks. And then 1%, they're not really sure. Those that have switched to NDP. So 11% of those who switched still strongly approve of Mark Carney, but saying they would vote NDP now. 46% of those moderately approve of him. And then you get into the disapprove, 25%. And so basically 31%, that's what I was saying before, 31% disapprove of what Mark Carney's doing. This is what drove me down my rabbit hole, folks. So what is this? This is Carney's net approval over time, his personal approval. So in June of 2025, that's the first column on the left, you'll see a bunch of numbers. And each number corresponds to an age bracket. So if you're 18 to 24, back in June 2025, there was a net positive of 20% of Canadians that approved of Mark Carney. And you can see the senior level, plus 45.
That's ridiculous.
Plus 45. So that's where it goes. And the folks that are in 35 to 44, 45 to 54, they primarily voted Conservative, so that's why they're plus 10, plus 11. But look at what has happened. So 18 to 24, net of plus 20 in June 2025, went up to plus 30 in June of this year. That has dropped to plus 1 in 1 month. 35 to 44, plus 10, all the way down to minus 6. And let's look at where the Liberal strength is right now. 55 to 64, that was at plus 26. That's now single digits at plus 7. And 65 plus, they were at plus 45. That has dropped by half.
That's insane.
Half. What does this show?
Well, it shows that Canadians' problems aren't getting solved, that adding more bureaucracy and more government is creating more problems, not solving them.
It also shows that the shine is wearing off Mark Carney, and it's wearing off quickly. Now, these personal numbers do not indicate a dramatic shift in the polls. And that's actually a good thing, because that means people are really thinking about this. But it does account for a shift. And it's this slow trend that we keep saying. You've heard us say it over and over and over again. We're not interested in big swings in the polls. I want a chip and a chip and a chip. Because those people that have just 1 by 1 or 10 by 10 or 100 by 100, they've changed their mind about Mark Carney. They're not coming back. That's what that means.
Well, and it's interesting because slow growth often means more stability. And when we were beginning the channel, we were like praying not to have a viral video, because a lot of YouTubers, you'll hear that they get one viral video near the beginning and then they get like swarmed with subscribers, and then they cannot recreate that viral video and the channel just crashes.
It dies.
Yeah. So slow and steady wins the race.
Now, this isn't the end, because they actually had the data available, and that's what we're going to get into now, because there's some more revealing things in the data. So check this out. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the data that makes up the Angus Reid polling. And you'll see here that what I've done is I've chopped out just the areas where you see the parties on the left and then the different age denominations on the right. So this is what I want you to look at. So this is the age broken down by specific demographics. So 18 to 24, 25 to 34, the same brackets as you saw in that previous slide. So look at 65 plus. That is down, according to Angus Reid, to 47% versus 43%. It's almost a 50-50 split now. That used to be a liberal strength, even according to Angus Reid. That's fascinating. So what that tells me is that personal approval dip, where that demographic went from plus 45 down to plus 22, that accounts for some of this shift going on here. 45 to 64, same thing. And if you look at the youth, they're at 30% to 31%. You may be saying, well, why? Why are they still there? They're at a +1. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Conservatives own the 38 or 35 to 44, and they still have some work to do on those other demographics. Here's the other thing. Look at female versus male. Male 55 plus, 51% saying they're voting for conservative. Female 55 plus, 52% say they're going to vote for liberal. I wonder what's going on there. Now we go here. So this is an analysis of how people voted in 2025 versus their vote intention now. This is what we're hoping for, and this is what is happening. So what does this mean? So ladies and gentlemen, this column here, second column from the left, where it says liberal, this is how did you vote in the 2025 federal election. So what this is saying, and what I've highlighted here, is 16% of people that voted liberal in the last federal election are now committing to vote NDP. They have lost 16%. They've lost more of their voter base than the Conservative Party of Canada has. Let me say that again. The Liberal Party of Canada, who are doing such a fantastic job, have lost more of their voter base than the Conservative Party of Canada.
But we've kind of been saying that all along, that the Conservatives have a very, very strong base. The only issue is that not all of them vote, especially young people.
Right. And they're not, the Liberals aren't losing many to the Conservatives, so they've lost 3% of their voting base to the Conservatives, but they've lost 16% to the NDP. That's what's significant here. And if we look here, it's even more significant, because you may look at the NDP and say, well, they've lost 20% of their voters to the Liberal Party of Canada, right? But we're talking percentages here, folks, not actual numbers. So if you look at the amount of people in this poll who actually said they voted for the NDP in the last federal election, and that's 89, they have a much smaller number to actually lose. So what's funny is the NDP lost more of a percentage to the Liberals, having less people that actually voted for them. But they gained a net positive more people from the Liberals because of how many people voted for the Liberals, right? It's like Tanya has $10, I have $100.
Well, I want $100.
And Tanya says, oh, I lost half my money. And I'll say, okay, well, I'll give you half of mine to make up for it. So she lost
Then I'm
$5 and I gave her 50.
So now I've got $55.
So that's why the NDP keep going up. So this is exactly what we were hoping would happen, and it is happening. And you can see it. So in the last almost 6 months, look at this trend for the Liberals. It's the steady decline that we wanted to see. And there's going to be some little ups and downs as we go forward. So, don't worry about that. But it's starting to be a trend. And the Conservatives in that same period, they're holding on. And that's really all they need to do right now. Because right now, this is going to be a battle of not between who can steal each other's voters between the Conservatives and the Liberals. Don't get me wrong. The Conservatives would like more people to switch from Liberals to Conservative. But what they need to do is hold on and watch the left tear itself apart. That's the time that the Conservatives are banking on right now. And that's what needs to happen. They're waiting for the reset back to the normal party distribution to happen, as people see that Mark Carney is not doing what he said he's going to do. And as he tries to please everybody, he will please nobody. And all the environmentalists and all the activists and all those people who thought Mark Carney was coming in because he was a crazy far-left ideologue, Mark Carney tried to push back on that. And now he's losing the far left. So what happens? What happens if he chases it, folks? Well, all the people who used to vote Conservative that voted Liberal, they're going to say, well, you're not Conservative anymore. So then he's going to lose those people over to the Conservatives. So this is where things are going to get very interesting for Mark Carney. As he sees this start to happen, is he going to chase it? If he doesn't chase it, they're going to leave. If he does chase it, if he chases those people to the left, well, then all the people that he gained from the right are going to go back to the right. This is where he's at. Here's another graph. This is where it says about 1 in 5 2025 Liberal voters have shifted to a more left-leaning option. That's 20%, folks.
That's insane.
And this is what's happening. Here's Abacus. So Abacus, their last poll was a week or two before Angus Reid. And they have different polling models. They have different ways of doing it. They have the Liberals up at +6. This is what they see on the comparative net government approval, right? Trudeau versus Carney governments. This is important. It may surprise a lot of people to actually know that Justin Trudeau actually had a far more stable first year in office than Mark Carney has in terms of net approval. Mark Carney is the solid line. Higher is better. And this is what Tanya and I were talking about when we said that people aren't going to give Mark Carney the same amount of time as they gave Justin Trudeau.
No, they're not going to give him that latitude at all.
Now, you may say, well, but right now Mark Carney is higher than Justin Trudeau is at month 16. Yes, he is. But his overall, and that's more important than this, his overall has actually been far more hectic than Justin Trudeau, and he's on a steady decline at the moment. This is fascinating, but also infuriating, folks. So what you see here is the top issues that they asked Canadians on, and which party is best to actually tackle each issue. And you'll see on the right where it says advantage, it shows the party. The infuriating thing about this vote is everything related to the economy is in the Conservative Party of Canada's favor. Everything. Everything for feelings. But also, ironically, the threat posed by China and Russia, that goes to the Liberal Party.
What?
Yeah. But then, here's the most infuriating part. Donald Trump and his administration, 63% Liberal Party of Canada. Tariffs and international trade is literally the economy. So what these people responded to is, oh, everything to do with Canada's economy. Yeah, let the Conservatives handle that, but I trust Mark Carney to handle Donald Trump.
Well, and that's so bizarre because people voted for Carney because he's some hotshot economist, which we've since found out that doesn't appear to be accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what happened here?
You broke it.
I did break it. I'm going to fix it right now. So, here's Abacus's breakdown. 18 to 29, it has the youngsters, the kids.
We're old.
We're old. At roughly 50-50. And it actually shows that the Liberals are still using the 16 over as a strength. So what is going on here? Because they both actually have single-digit leads when it comes to Angus Reid and Abacus, +4 for Angus Reid and +6 for Abacus. Well, you have to look at what is going on in the life cycle of a voter. So this is typically how swing voters operate. So you make your choice. You're an enthusiastic supporter. You voted Liberal in the last election. You're not a Liberal card-carrying member, but you bought into Mark Carney. Then you become a disappointed supporter of the same party.
Well, you know, I know he's not doing a great job right now, but if the election were tomorrow, I would still vote for him.
Right.
Yeah.
And then more time goes on. You're no longer disappointed, but you're, okay, I don't really like these guys.
I guess I'll vote for Carney because I don't like any of the other parties.
Right. And then you move into undecided and be like, okay, so clearly I can't vote Liberal. I don't know who I'm going to vote for anymore. And this is where a lot of people say I'm politically homeless. I don't know what to do. And then they finally graduate to supporter of another party. So when you see these personal numbers shift in these demographics, like for the youth or for the 65 and up, and you see these dramatic changes, but you don't see these dramatic changes in the polls, that's a good thing. That means that these people are actually thinking about who they actually would support. And what this means is they're actually going through this life cycle so that as they are moving to the right, ironically, of being an enthusiastic Liberal supporter, and they're moving along in that chain, it is far less likely that they're going to be moving back. And those numbers are saying, are you disappointed with Mark Carney? Yeah, I'm really disappointed. Would you still vote for Liberal? Yeah, I guess. But they're not happy to do it. And sooner or later, that swing voter, they're not even going to do it anymore. That's how you get a swing voter to move from one party to the other. Now think of what we've been talking about. So you have a swing voter that is moving from an enthusiastic supporter to a disappointed supporter to a reluctant supporter. And then you have a bunch of people coming at them telling them they're an idiot for how they voted.
Don't do that.
That just gave them validation that I should continue to support the party that I voted for last time instead of. So I get it. You know what? Mark Carney duped you. You know what? It sucks. It sucks. But we have another shot. We have another shot when the next election comes around. And that's the great thing about voting is you can change your vote in the next election. And
that's a lot more positive, and the other person will receive it a lot better than just if they were told that they're an idiot, right?
Right. Now, there's going to be the permanent enthusiastic supporters on the Liberals, just as there's permanent enthusiastic supporters on the Conservative side. But it's the swing voters that we are looking at. And it's the swing voters that are starting to shift.
Yep.
It's the swing voters that are in the boomer category that are starting to realize that Mark Carney is not what he was advertised to be. And the youth are starting to realize, the ones that did vote Liberal, they're starting to see that it's not what they was advertised to be. So,
Well, and when you have people that are either at that reluctant supporter or that step number 4 was unknown, or what did you call it?
Undecided.
Undecided, thank you. So when you have people at those two stages, you can kind of gently bring them towards your beliefs, right? You can say, well, my EDA is having a barbecue this weekend, you know, no pressure to talk politics or anything, but why don't you come out, meet some people? When your MP, if they're conservative, is having an event, hey, so and so MP is going to have an event, why don't you come out? Like, there's a Stop the Crime event that I saw that's coming, I want to say Cambridge, but I can't remember. Somewhere in the GTA. Just like, hey, you know what? You're really concerned about crime in your neighborhood. Why don't you come with me to this? Stuff like that.
So the point is, folks, is that people have been asking us, when are Canadians starting to wake up? It's starting to happen. It happens slowly, but it's starting to happen. We have data and we have trends now that are starting to actually show what's going on. And people are saying, well, all's going to be fine for the Liberals when Mark Carney gets a deal. You know what? If Mark Carney gets a deal and all the tariffs actually go away, I will applaud him for that, depending on what he had to give up for it. You know, all of a sudden the Northwest Territories is not part of the United States. But
I mean, didn't he give up enough already?
Well, yeah. But, let's say that happens, which it won't, but let's say that happens. That's a net good thing for all of these businesses that are in Windsor and of the same type out in Quebec and all out in Western Canada and the manufacturing sector. That's a net good thing. If it is genuinely, actually, he does something, I will applaud it. I'm not optimistic it's going to happen because look at his track record. He hasn't done anything. And he's been giving up things without getting anything in return. Yeah. Like, he's trying to say, well, we gave this up and then we got the bridge open. Come on. Give me a break. My cowboy hat was on too tight. Oh. Are you sure it was your cowboy hat? And yeah, anyway. Parliamentary language, right. But this is what we have. And so as we see things unfold, things are going to get more and more difficult for Mark Carney because these environmentalists are waiting for the environment to be saved by the Liberal Party, and it's not happening. And then you have the more conservative swing voters that are saying, where's my pipeline? And what happens if that doesn't happen? So Mark Carney, it's going to be inevitable that you're going to lose one and not pick up the other. If this pipeline actually gets approved, all that progressive vote is going to be ticked permanently at Mark Carney.
Yeah, 100%.
And that will be the rebirth of the NDP.
Yeah. And if it doesn't, then all these people are going, well, Mark Carney's really conservative. That'll prove them wrong.
Well, but this is going to be the funny thing, because it may actually be a conservative idea that actually takes down Liberal Mark Carney. So,
isn't that always the way?
Well, it is. And I think he's going to chase it. I think he's going to chase the votes. I think he's going to panic.
Well, and he'll do what Aaron O'Toole did in the 2021 election, which is try to pander to both sides, and then you make neither of them happy.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a very, very interesting 6 months of political strategy going on within Canada. So no wonder we have an American audience that says you guys are like my Netflix. So anyway, all right, folks. So I'm encouraged. I'm not like over the moon, but I'm encouraged because what we hoped and thought would happen is happening.
You're cautiously optimistic.
So it's going to take a little time. That's okay. So here we go. We have Libby T. Good to see you. Thanks for all you do. Well, thanks for all you do. Thank you very much. And Gordon Muir dropping 10 memberships. Thank you very, very much for that, Gordon. Food for Thought, member for 9 months. NP Nation rocks. Thank you for being my voice. Well,
it's our pleasure.
You're a voice as well. And together, NP Nation, it makes up hundreds of thousands of voices. So thank you. Jessica Van Luke for $14. When it comes to C9, interview Courtney Collingsworth Metz. She's in a gospel group in the US. Would love to hear her talk about how C9 would affect her, the group, and their future touring here.
Honestly, again, the interviews don't do well. Like, we just dropped one today and it's
doing
nobody's
terrible.
watching it. If you guys want more interviews, you got to watch the interviews.
Get your friends to watch the interviews. Rose says for $2. Ryan, you need the Macaulay Culkin shaving me. Yeah. Rose says for $2. It's all about debase or something. Rose says for $5. The only thing in this track that worries me is that Carney manages to destroy things like a bathroom at Taco Bell before the reset happens. Wow.
That's vivid.
So before or after eating Taco Bell? Just me Nicole for $10. Why would people go even more to the left with the NDP? I don't get it. It's a good thing for us, but I don't get it. So it's the environmentalists, right? It's the environmental fanatics. Trudeau was an environmental fanatic, and he was an activist. That's why a bunch of the activists actually voted for him. That's why they voted for Stephen Guilbeault. And that's why Elizabeth May has actually come out and said, I think we could win Guilbeault's riding. Because there's a lot of ticked off people in Guilbeault's riding at the Liberals.
Well, and I think it was the generation younger than me, so I guess that would make it Gen Z, that they were just brought up through the school system, hearing about how humans are destroying the earth and, climate change this, climate change that. I mean, I take a more nuanced approach, but...
Well, they saw Greta.
How dare you?
I mean, it's funny because there's a story I heard about, they asked an AI, I don't even know which one, but they asked an AI how to get rid of climate change, how to end climate change. And it said, we'll get rid of all the humans. So there has to be a balance between, having this perfect world and what humans can do to still live their lives.
This is why in virtually all dystopian AI movies, AI turns on people because people are stupid.
No, because the AI takes everything literally.
Well, but the biggest problem to solving pollution biggest solution to resolving pollution on the earth is get rid of people. Biggest solution to resolving almost any problem on the earth right now is getting rid of people. How do you solve hunger? We'll get rid of the people that are hungry. Not that way.
But that's why, that's such a computer answer, right? Like, it's a robot answer.
Yep.
It's so logical and it doesn't take any practicality or emotion into consideration.
Yep. Well, and that's why in for we've
It's like
been a couple of people that have talked about the Marvel universe. That's why Ultron wasn't evil. Ultron decided the only way to save the Earth is to remove the people that are destroying it, which is people. So it was a calculation. Anyway,
enough about sci-fi.
But this is the thing, and the NDP has been the party of far left extremism, which includes extreme environmentalism. So that's why people go over there, and they go there instead of the Green Party because they're far more likely to actually get a member of parliament through the NDP than they are with the Green Party.
Yeah, true story.
Peter Witten for $2. The boomers are the most likely to answer the call. Yes, they are.
And conservatives are not, because we're all working.
The one crazy caper for $5. There is a rumor that Daniel Smith is going after Pierre's job as leader of the Conservative Party. Do you think there is any truth to it?
I haven't heard it.
Anything like that. I have heard nothing about that. Canadian Proud for $7. Just turned 60 today and never will vote Liberal ever.
Happy birthday.
Excellent.
Awesome.
And Rabbit says for $5, the number of Canadians who still get all their information from MSM and CBC especially is very sad and don't want to listen to anything else.
Yeah, it's funny watching people talk about us online, whether it's on Reddit or Facebook or X or whatever. And I'm like, I know you don't listen to us because we're not separatists and we actually are well researched and all of our sources are always in the description.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, blah, 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 talking points, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's... It's kind of crazy. I'm like, tell me you didn't watch the video without telling me you didn't watch the video. Wanda Hall for $5. Apparently some boomers with a bit of money lost a part of their pension this month. That will drop Carney's rating. Yeah, it will.
Yeah, it probably will.
Iosaken for $5.
Iosaken.
Eosaken. I'm late. Yeah, you are late.
How dare you?
Just started the stream at 8 p.m. and now hearing you two at 1.5x. See you live in a bit. Take my $5 as a penalty.
Thank you.
Thanks. HC Day for $5. Can we get the New World is Inevitable meme from Team America? Yeah, sure.
I'm going to write that down.
And Don B, member for 28 months. Thank you, Northern Perspective. Thank you very much, Don. It's great to see your comment on every video. Don watches all the interviews. Myron Ends for $10. Boss, the plane boss. Love it. All right. How dare us? That's funny. Okay, folks. Do we have enough?
Yeah, we got questions.
All right.
Lots of questions.
Here we go. A little bit of an extended question period today, folks. So here we go.
Oral questions. Oral questions.
Oral questions.
Let's be careful about some of the words we use. People are watching at home. Their kids are watching.
All right, it is question period time. You can tag at Randy from Northern Perspective to ask your question, and we are going to read as many as we can. First one is from Scott Taylor. It says, what, if anything, can be done about committees being shut down by the Liberals?
So the good thing is that this isn't the first time that the Conservatives have dealt with this in a majority government. Remember, Justin Trudeau did have a majority government, and they were still able to use some tools to hold them to account. And they're going to be using those tools. And they're in a, as we talk to Michael Cooper, if you haven't listened to our interview with Michael Cooper, listen to that, because we actually talked to him about this. And he actually says, it's actually far easier to do this now than we were doing way back in the first Trudeau government in 2015. Because number one, there's independent media now. There was not back then.
Or not as much anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And number two, there's a lot more Canadians that are paying attention to politics now than there were back then. So are Liberals going to continue to do this with committee? Probably. But the more they do it, again, it's the same concept of diminishing returns. They may get a return in the short term of shutting down a committee, but that racks up. And you don't want that to become all of a sudden a stat, because even the mainstream media will eventually talk about that as a stat, just like Mark Carney's question period attendance. Yeah. So if you start talking about things like the Liberals have shut down 25 or 30 or 50 committee, that doesn't sound too good.
No. And what we can do as citizens is we can email or write the MPs who are shutting these committees down. Especially if you have a Liberal MP and they're in a committee, maybe even if they're not the one passing the motion, you can just email them or write them and say, listen, I don't appreciate this. Canadians deserve transparency, and we don't want you shutting down committee. The other thing, what was I thinking in regards to that?
I know not.
No, it's gone.
What I do know is that when I covered this this last week, I believe it was Tuesday, when they shut down the committee and didn't even get to vote on the motion in Ogo, and the mainstream media actually reported on it.
That's what I was going to say, is that if we put out a clip, if somebody else puts out a clip, share it on your Facebook, share it on your X, share it on whatever. And then your friends will see that, oh, the Liberals are shutting down committee. Oh, this is the fourth time they've done it. What's going on in this committee?
When I speak to my aunt, who's one of these 52% of Canadians over the age of 65 that, still votes for Liberals. And I say, did you know that Mark Carney has only showed up for question period 28% of the time? Oh, really? oh, that's not good. He should be showing up for work.
Sure should.
If you're able to point to concrete examples like that, concrete stats, you may never change their mind, but you get them thinking about it. And these are the things that are very, very important to put out there, because they'll see them elsewhere and they'll say, oh, okay, so that was real. That wasn't just Bob telling me a fib. That's actually real. And this is why we've started to put out like some concrete infographics with some concrete stats in them. And there will be more, but they've done really well because it gives you at a glance something to just point to.
Yeah.
And at the bottom it says, here's all the sources. Now it doesn't put all the links, but it says where we got it from. So if people wanted to look it up, they can.
Next question is from the Morris Michael D. It says, can NP Nation, along with other conservative media, push the interview with Pierre Poilievre and Joe Rogan now that Carney's popularity is dropping? Perhaps clips we can share. So we don't typically share clips from other channels just because, number one, we don't want a copyright strike. And number two, it's disrespectful. Unless we're getting permission from like other podcasters, we try not to use clips just because they're the ones that went to the work to get the interview. They're the ones that went to the work to actually record the interview, edit the interview, put it out, etc., etc. So we don't want to be like that.
I would, I understand the idea. I would say that now's not quite the right time, because right now the time is, the clock is ticking on Mark Carney for the tariffs. I don't want any Canadian to be distracted about that. And I don't want anyone Canadian to be distracted about the fact that no matter what Mark Carney does, it's going to be difficult for him to get anything done. This is a pressure tactic by Donald Trump to make him do something. Time will tell what that is going to be, but the clock is ticking. So I don't want Canadians to be distracted by anything else other than, presumably, Mark Carney failing at his biggest promise during the election, which is I can handle Donald Trump. And I'm pretty sure the Conservatives, they don't want any other distractions as well. That's what they want. They just want to see and comment on the fact that Mark Carney isn't going to get something done. Now, if he gets something done and all of a sudden it's positive, somehow he swindles Donald Trump and he makes life better for Canadians, sure. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Next question is from Jessica Van Luke. It says, do you think the WestJet flight attendant strike will help Pierre win at least 2 of the seats in the by-elections, and what is your position on this?
No idea. That's hard to say because of the voters that are in those by-elections. Mark Carney isn't winning the unions over.
No. Which traditionally unions have not liked the Conservative Party, except for the police unions, I think.
But any of the unions that were still leaning towards the Liberals, they have to look at their track record. And their track record has not been union friendly. Now, it doesn't really matter what my opinion on unions is, positive or negative. It depends on what these unions think of the Liberal Party. And the Liberal Party has been showing that they don't really care about people striking. They don't care about unions and they don't care about anything. So this is where these unions, they have to decide, where's my new home going to be? Is it going to be in the NDP or is it going to be in the Conservative Party?
We had received, I believe it was an email from somebody who said, I'm in the Unifor union and they told us to vote Liberal, and it was just a huge, huge mistake.
And a bunch of them didn't, by the way.
Yeah.
According to the email, a bunch of them did vote Conservative. So,
but still, when you have the union executive essentially telling people how to vote, and they're like, well, it's good for the union. Just because it's good for the union doesn't necessarily mean it's good for the individual. So I don't know. My personal opinion is I don't think unions should be telling people how to vote, number one. And regarding the flight attendants, I don't think that it's fair to expect people to be working when they're not getting paid. Bottom line.
There you go.
All right, sorry. Next question is from M. Soother. It says, what percentage of total MP audience is subscribed? So many podcasters have less than 50% sub rate. Would really love to know if it's really 500K plus watching MP. You guys are saving Canada. Thank you. Ryan can probably look that up pretty quickly.
Yep. So
As soon as your
give me a
computer
sec.
loads.
No, as soon as YouTube loads. YouTube sucks, by the way. So over the last 28 days, 60%, 59.4, are viewers that have subscribed, and 40% are not subscribed. So you 40%.
So if you haven't, or maybe even just double check that you are subscribed to Northern Perspective, because sometimes YouTube does weird things and kicks you out. But make sure you are subscribed and hit the notification bell, because that lets you know as soon as we drop a new video.
Good question.
Next one is from Don B. It says, besides the carbon tax and tariffs, are there also packaging and processing taxes that are hidden, contributing to higher food prices as well?
Oh, there's depending on what it is. Yeah, there's like there's a, the liberals will say they're not taxes, that's imaginary. Well, there's fees that the government imposes. You know, they just call it a different name. Like there's like a packaging tax and stuff like that. So there's different fees for potentially different products out there. It's hard to say. It's hard to go through a lot of them. I don't know the ins and outs of the Canadian food industry and Canada food regulations, but there's definitely different fees that stack on top of it, and then that obviously just gets passed on to the customer.
Next question is from Jessica Van Luke. It says, I've seen people upset because Pierre isn't currently with the Quebec candidate, but with the other ones. I think he needs to be in all three ridings. Thoughts? The by-election's not until the 31st. So
I think he's splitting his time.
Yeah.
I think what he doesn't want to do is show up for one day in one by-election and say, hi, I'm here, just so I can say I'm here. Goodbye. So I'm guessing he's going to make his way around to the different by-elections. And I think it's a good message to actually show him going to some of these. What you may see is him, this is what I expect. I expect that he will be in the Quebec riding a little towards the end, closer to when the get out the vote is, in order to try and push that over the edge. But who knows? I expect you'll see him in Vancouver. I expect you'll see him in Quebec. I think you're going to see him around. But I also imagine, he wants to stick around and have a meaningful impact, right? Because if you're just there for one day and then you're gone, did you help that much?
Do anything? Yeah.
So, but if you're there, you take a couple of days, maybe a week, you go around with a candidate, do some door knocking, help answer some questions, talk to some local businesses, and try and drum up to support, do a couple of events. That actually affords you some time to actually do something. So what I would say to Canadians is, don't be judging Pierre's actions during this by-election period until after it's done. And then we can comment and say, you know what? That had an effect. That didn't. Maybe he should have spent his more time here. Hindsight is always 20/20 in a by-election or in any election. So let's see what happens.
Next question is from Don B. It said, I've heard they are putting data centers, small ones, in people's private homes. Do you think this trend will come to Canada? And what are your thoughts on this?
That's news to me, so I don't know. I don't know how you can put a data center in somebody's private home.
Unless you have like a NAS or something.
But
No?
that's not even a data center.
No.
I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I have no answer for you, just because data center is big. We had a data center at the last place I was at, which was the government, and I was able to collapse the amount of rack space that we actually used. So for those that don't know, in a data center, you have a bunch of racks, and they're steel racks. And in those racks are typically servers or storage or network gear. It's basically what's in there. And they're thin, right? And they also generate a bunch of heat because they work really hard. This is not your typical home PC that's in there. This is, you know, industrial gear. So sure, you can fit a rack or two in your basement, but to what end?
Well, it's just going to increase your home heating or your home cooling costs and stuff like that, and your energy costs, right?
But not even that. Okay, so you do that, and what? You're just going to hook it up to the internet? Like,
well, yeah. What if you have a really lousy internet connection?
I don't know. I'm
Very curious. Well, do you want me to write that down? You can look at it.
I'm hesitant to believe it just because of all of the issues there.
I'll write it down just so you can look at it later because
and maybe I will be shocked because
you might be.
The Edmonton police are apparently doing nothing and want people to report name calling. So, you know, things are going crazy.
This one's from Benjamin Phillips. It says, do you think you would interview a Liberal, or have you invited any Liberal MPs? If so, who? I understand that you have a hard time getting anyone that's Liberal. So before we answer this question, we're not going to be like, well, you know, we invited so-and-so and so-and-so and they didn't come. Sometimes they're just busy. Like, they're MPs. These guys work like insane hours, even in the summer when they're on the barbecue circuit. So I'm not saying that, oh, well, we invited this person and they didn't come as a bad reflection on them. Sometimes they just can't. So let's throw that out there first. We've had Bob Bertina and Dan McTeague on the show, who are both former Liberal MPs. And we've also had a friend of my family, who his name is Mark Keeley. His interview was last summer, was it? I think he's not a...
No, this was...
it was 2 summers ago.
No. This was last fall. I was during the prorogation period. Because
prorogation period was in the spring, technically, winter, spring.
Or sorry, it was last winter is what it was.
It was right before we
February.
Came down here. But he was John Turner's chief of staff. And that was
a Liberal supporter.
Yeah, that was a great interview because a lot of the time when we're talking to conservatives, it's like we agree on the same things, we kind of speak the same language, you know what I mean? But with Mark, he had a completely different viewpoint. And we were able to kind of like exchange ideas. Like, there was a few things that we had said that he's like, oh, that's a really good point. And there were some things that he said that were like, yeah, that makes sense. So we do really enjoy those conversations. Unfortunately, we don't have them as often as we would like.
Yep. But who we have invited? We've invited Sean Fraser on. We've invited Mark Carney on. We invited
Jagmeet Singh. I know he's not Liberal, but...
We've invited Charlie Angus on.
He's not Liberal either.
We've invited Don Davies on. We invited Abby Lewis on. But we're hopeful we may get him on.
But I think his dad had passed away around
so
that time, unfortunately.
So we're going to reach out again. And we invited Ariel Karubaga on, and that was
interesting because she said she would come on and then she just left.
Yeah, she like snuck out of the room. So that was something. That was
interesting. We've been trying to get Anthony Rhoda. Who else did we invite? Did we ever invite Freeland? I don't recall.
No. She was on enough of her thumbnails that I don't blame her for not coming on. So again, that was when I was having a lot of fun with thumbnails. So I think I had her look like a wicked witch at one point. There was one where she was like in a boat that was sinking. So yeah,
those were old thumbnails.
Yep.
Those were like first year thumbnails. Jessica Van Luke asks, I've heard sources that confirm that the Reform Act will be coming for Pierre, or Pierre might be resigning this month. Thoughts?
So many people are saying this, and I just say, prove it.
Yeah. Because I mean, when we were at our EDA meeting, we were told that no, everything's fine in caucus, and Pierre is as motivated as ever, and he's looking forward to, you know, getting out and helping these candidates with their by-elections, and he's actually going to be coming to the GTA. I think it was actually in the GTA this morning or yesterday or something, but yeah, we haven't heard anything. And again, I don't know if it's likely just because whoever signs that Reform Act, there's going to be a revolt. Like, remember, people are going to be mad at them.
20 MPs have to sign their name publicly to that. You want to see a bunch of ticked off conservatives? Put your name on that. You will never get elected in that riding again. I can tell you that. You know, there was a leadership review. That's done. for MPs to turn around, not even a year later, and then say, we're disregarding the will of the
party,
delegates.
yeah.
We're disregarding the democratic process that actually occurred within the Conservative Party of Canada.
That's,
At your own risk, folks.
that's not going to be good. Travis Russell asks, when the Conservatives get power, do you guys think they will look at the years the Liberals have been in power and bring justice to the backdoor deals and swindling?
I think what they will do is the first thing that they're going to do is remove all of the terrible legislation that was implemented. So that's going to be the first thing. So they're going to remove the C-22s, the C-5s, the C-9s,
yeah,
the C-18s, the C-11s. There's a lot of stuff that they're just going to rip out. So that's number one. Number two, starting to sound like Carney. First point. Second point. What they will do, what they better do, or I'll be calling up a couple of them. What they better do is implement reforms to the Conflict of Interest Act and implement reforms to actually hold people accountable and give real punishment for ethics violations. What you may see is, well, what you'll probably see is a new head of the RCMP.
Yep. New head of the CBC, I wouldn't be surprised. New head of most of the agencies, actually. Because
the Prime Minister has discretion to appoint new heads of the agencies. I know, I reported to one. And you never know what will happen when those types of changes are made, because maybe the investigation is open again in the RCMP when it comes to Aga Khan, when it comes to SNC-Lavalin. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. And it really depends on the evidence that they have, not just in those two cases, but I mean in other ethics breaches and other things that we as the public suspect may be criminal. It depends on resources, evidence, that sort of thing. Next question is from M. Souther. It says, why haven't the Conservatives been talking this up since it came out? Can Mark Carney be charged with treason? So treason is an extremely specific crime in the Criminal Code of Canada. And to be charged with treason, you have to do something like assault or harm the Queen. I think they probably changed it to say King now, but or their descendants. You have to be proven to have been giving state secrets to a foreign entity. There's a couple other things, but it's very, very specific. And I don't think anything that Carney has done yet meets the threshold of treason. Now, that's not to say that he can't do something in the future that would meet that threshold, or that he hasn't done something that could possibly be charged under the criminal code for something else. I don't know. It really depends on what evidence they're allowed, or that they're able to find. Because, I mean, there's been cases, and you probably all know of at least one, where somebody's been accused of murder, but the cops just don't have enough on them to charge them. And so they're still in the community, and they're a pariah in the community. Nobody wants to talk to them, but they can't prove it, so they can't charge them.
Yeah. And the other thing is to Tony's point, it's not about what you believe, it's what you can prove.
Yeah.
And as we continue to investigate Mark Carney, there's been two recent videos that we've done where I think I said in the video, like, we've all suspected this. This is the first time I've actually been able to point to it.
Prove it, yeah. It's very different to say, like, well, you know, Mark Carney used to work with so-and-so who used to work with so-and-so at this company, and they have these connections, so therefore he must be doing X, Y, and Z. That's suspicion. That is not actual proof. For example, Ryan used to work with Anita and Ann's husband. He was on the board of the company that Ryan worked for.
Well,
never met the guy.
Yeah, so I didn't work with him. I was just at the same company.
Yeah, and that's the thing, when you have these companies that are like thousands and thousands of people, you can't prove that those people necessarily interacted. I mean, the lab that you and I used to work at was what, 14,000 people?
Yep.
Yeah.
Listen, I worked at the same company as Justin Trudeau. It's called the Government of Canada.
Right. So
we have to be careful.
Yeah. But when we do a video on something that is, Mark Carney did X, we have the documents, we have the proof, because we want to make sure that if we're putting out an accusation like that, it's not just speculation. It's not just a guess. Like, here's the paperwork.
Well, and this is where we completely understand why people are so frustrated, because we're equally as frustrated. We were especially frustrated when the mainstream media tried to go around and insinuate that Pierre had absolutely no reason to be, to have some negative comments towards the RCMP leadership, from back in the SNC Lavalin and Aga Khan days. Brenda Lucky, look her up. She's not exactly the model citizen. And from who we've spoken to inside the service, she was hated by a bunch of the RCMP rank and file. So it's super frustrating.
Yeah.
It's just about what you can prove, unfortunately.
Rex Walters asks, what the heck are the Liberals thinking, considering Jagmeet Singh, CEO of Destination Canada? I think they need advice. Honestly, I have no idea what they're thinking. I can't get inside their heads, but I will tell you what it looks like from the public looking in.
It looks exactly like you think.
It looks like he's getting a cushy job because he helped keep the government in power. That's exactly what it looks like. Is that what it is? Who knows? But that's the perception, and the problem is that half the time perception is reality, right?
Well, that's the thing. Who knows if there were private conversations had between Mark Carney and Jagmeet Singh during the election? Who knows if there were, what was said? But it doesn't look good, I can tell you.
Right, it looks bad, and that's the important part. Miriam Rachel asks, the government has made it clear they aren't budging with the Online News Act, and does that mean they refuse to make a deal? This is why my petition needs to go viral. Do you want me to read it again? The government has made it clear they aren't budging with the Online News Act, and does that mean they refuse to make a deal? This is why my petition needs to go viral.
We will see. Mark Miller didn't come out and say emphatically no about it, but I don't disagree. I think the petition should go viral. I think every creator should be sharing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know why people are not, but I think everybody should be sharing it, because everybody should be signing it.
And it is in the description of this video. It is the second link that you'll find right at the top of the description. And don't forget that when you sign the petition, you will have to go to your email inbox. They'll send you an email just to confirm that your email is active, and you click the link and say yes. And that means your signature is accepted.
And I think there's a couple of people confused. They're saying Ryan's a lefty. So when I worked for the government, I wasn't a Liberal MP. I was working for the government. So
yeah,
I was technically in the same organization as Justin Trudeau. So
he was a public servant. He was the CEO of a government agency here in Hamilton.
Well, I wasn't the CEO.
CIO, pardon me.
So
sorry, CIO,
anyway.
Information Officer. T. Anderson says, I wanted to know if Ryan and Tanya will be at the barbecue in Woodstock on August 22nd.
Sure will. We'll see you there.
And John B. asks, should Conservatives take control, will they be able to investigate any of the Liberals for accountability and redo the failed Conflict of Interest Act and penalties?
So
absolutely.
Yeah, they can do all of that.
Yep, 100%. Yep. Because I'm not saying this is what happened, but just say you have an MP who was suspected of committing fraud and the Liberal government just let it go. Fraud does not have a statute of limitations in Canada. They can charge him when they get in. They can charge him 20 years from now. Next one is from Wolf I-47. It says, do you think Mark Carney is Prime Minister longer than Carney expected? In my opinion, he was brought in to get JT out of hot water, then get back to his life outside politics.
This is why we've heard so to the first answer, no, I don't think so. I think Mark Carney expected to be in for one term. Based on what we've heard.
Yeah.
I don't know if I think I agree with that assessment. But what we heard is, I think they were hoping to get a majority, and
they didn't, and then that's why
they manufactured
they bought one.
Yep. And but many people that we've talked to in politics have said that they would be surprised if Mark Carney ran for more than one.
Craftworks 0243 asks, does the Gordie Howe Bridge imply new custom facilities point of entry for US and Canada, or will people be sent to existing nearby facilities? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how it's actually set up. If it's run like every other crossing, then it would have new point of entry.
Its own, yeah. Because I know in Niagara Falls, where I grew up, we had the Peace Bridge, we had the Rainbow Bridge, and
I know saying this, somebody's listening to this, and I'm going to get a phone call tomorrow to clarify it. So I'll talk to you tomorrow.
and the Queenston Lewiston Bridge, and each point had its own customs area, whatever you want to call it. Leanne on Lymph asks, have you heard that some Liberal fans think that Carney is getting Ukraine gold in exchange for the money sent? Sounds like I needed to ask him to prove it.
Yes, you should.
Yeah.
You should ask them to prove that. I see no evidence.
Yeah, that's quite the accusation.
Yeah. You might as well say he's getting, like, unicorn farts to sniff, like, in regards to his trade deal with China. Like, it's extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Leon Lymph again says, what is the status of the gripe in order? Apparently the Liberal fans think they're ordered.
So nothing has been announced that they're ordered. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens, considering the RCAF wants the F-18s.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not the F-18s, the F-35s. So it's going to be fascinating to see what happens.
Wolf547 says, quick question about religion. How does the government look at the national anthem that does mention God?
I guess we will see shortly.
Hopefully they don't change it again. Liam Conway asks, hello, I hope you're both doing well. What would be your top 3 policy proposals for the Conservative Party? Example, tax reform, immigration, etc. I think, like, if you mean ones that they're not currently running, let me think. Because, I mean, like, if it was ones that they're already talking about, crime for sure, affordability for sure, and housing, because young people need homes. We wouldn't be living in a house if we didn't buy when we did. And speaking to some of the younger folks in our EDA, they feel hopeless about it. They're like, I can't have a family. I don't have a home. I can't have a family.
Well, and some say I'm never going to get married.
Yeah. And it's really sad. So, I mean, those are my top 3 existing.
So some that I want to see, this is unrelated, right? Because the Conservatives already have a whole bunch of platforms on stuff. So this is just some stuff I would want to see. Number 1, I want to see autism officially covered under our public health system. So that's number 1. There's some things that people do by choice that are covered that the Liberals have implemented.
You mean safe supply?
No.
Oh.
And procedures. And people with autism don't have a choice to be autistic.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So I think that should be covered. So that's 1. Number 2, based on that, there should be a complete regulatory reform on how autism therapy is actually practiced across Canada, because families are being blatantly taken advantage of, and they're held hostage via waivers that families can't then turn around and sue these organizations when they completely or they commit malpractice and permanently damage the behavior of their child. So that's a second one. And third is a media subsidization reform, and we've talked about this before.
Yeah, so that would be instead of the government just handing boatloads of money to the mainstream media and saying, here you go, have fun, they would have to actually earn it from subscribers. So if you sign up to read Globe and Mail or National Post or whatever it happens to be, and then you file for that on your taxes, and then you get the money back. So the news agency has to actually earn your custom, right? And if the government wants to support them, they're kind of like doing it through you, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Don B asks, if the Conservatives should win, do you think there will be an exodus of Liberals retiring to be with their families or heading to other pastures? LOL.
MPs? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, especially, remember what we saw right before Justin Trudeau resigned? All these Liberal MPs wanted to spend more time with their family.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of them came back because I guess they didn't like their families anymore. So, yes, you will see lots of people all of a sudden say, you know what, I've had enough of politics. You know, it's time. It's time to spend time with my family. That's, yes, you will 100% see that.
Don McDonald asks, is still the leader of the Conservative Party. What effect do you think the fact that Pierre is a federalist will have on the Alberta vote? I don't know.
Which Alberta? Oh, like the upcoming vote, like the referendum?
I guess.
Or, I don't know, because if you believe some of the polls out there, 75% of people in Alberta still want to stay. So,
I think it's going to be one of those we'll see what happens type things,
yeah.
Unfortunately.
Like I know there's other people who think that the support for leaving is much higher. That's why we have a vote. So we'll see what happens. But I don't know. To be honest, I don't know if it's going to have an impact, because there's going to be people that have like ardently made their decision, and that's the way they're going to vote. And there's other people that they say, yeah, you know, we should leave. But then when they're actually presented with the ballot, they're like, well, maybe not yet.
Well, because it's a huge change. It's not just a simple, I don't even know. Like, I mean, if you think about how hard it is to pick up everything and move house, now imagine that is applied on like a country scale almost, because you've got to get your own passports, you've got to get your own currency, you've got to get your own army, you've got to protect your borders. Like, there's so many things.
You've also got to convince the rest of the country to let you leave. So
yeah, and that's the other thing. A lot of people think that the 750 rule is just that 50% of the provinces need to say yes, but you also need the House of Commons and the Senate to also approve any changes to the Constitution.
So
Peter Witten asks, I know it's not necessarily in NP's purview, but could Cypher and Fox say something about Fauci being undressed in DC and with that whole false narrative regarding COVID and shutting down society?
yeah, so I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched enough, and I thought it was kind of gross to watch. Now, the issue I had, this isn't a case of someone who thought they were doing the right thing and was just hauled before a committee and embarrassed. That's not what this was. Because they ended up getting Fauci's personal diary, and from the diary of Anthony Fauci, learned a bunch of crazy stuff that he did. Number one, and I didn't know this. He used government federal resources to apply for monetary awards for himself.
What? See, I didn't watch any of it. I haven't had an opportunity to sit down and do it, but like, that's insane.
And ended up getting over $1 million.
One would think that would be illegal because you're essentially stealing money from your employer.
Well, here's the problem. Because Joe Biden gave him a pardon for whatever he had done up to that point, whether it was known or not, the issue is he can't be retroactively prosecuted for this stuff. And this is the part that is just disgusting. He says a lot of contrary things in his diary that he said, publicly about research and all this stuff. So, but the biggest problem in it, and I imagine a lot of people have heard this and talked about it, is this case of, did he even have the ability to use the Fifth Amendment? Because the Fifth Amendment, the whole point of that is to, it's a very important right, because if you're hauled before a committee and they're asking you a question, the Fifth Amendment prevents you from being compelled to say something
that would incriminate you.
That would incriminate you.
Yeah. And we have something similar in Canada where it's like the right to not incriminate yourself, but I don't know necessarily how that would work in a court of law. I've never seen it.
So, well, yeah. So anyway, so we have that. So, and the reason why people are wondering, well, were you even allowed to use the Fifth Amendment? Because he was pardoned. So if you're pardoned for crimes that you committed,
then he should have.
Then you can't incriminate yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is where things are getting very interesting, and the government could technically go after him. This is what some of the legal experts are saying. I don't know if it's true. The government of the United States could go after him civilly because they don't believe that he actually had the right to use the Fifth Amendment. So, a lot of people are saying, why are they going after Anthony? Because they found he did some crazy corrupt crap. That's why they're going after him. If Stephen Harper was found out to do the same thing, I hope they'd be going after him. Like, we're an equal opportunity conviction, channel here, folks. Like, if you do corrupt stuff, then I want your ass in jail.
You do the crime, you do the time.
Right. So this is the point. So I thought it was wild. And I thought it was wild that, I think it was I don't know if it was Rand Paul. Anyway, it was one of the other congressmen asked him, what color is your tie? And he pled the Fifth. What color is the carpet in front of you? And he pled the Fifth. Every single question that he answered.
That's bizarre.
He pled the Fifth. Now, people will say, oh, he did that over 100 times. Let's be fair. Trump did the same thing in another hearing. He pled the Fifth, I think it was like 155 times. So that's happened before. But to my knowledge, Trump wasn't pardoned before that. So
yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what some of the legal experts come out with down there. So for my portion, I will say I did not watch the hearing. I haven't had an opportunity yet, but
I only watched like 15 minutes of it, and I was like, wow.
We did do a video, I want to say 2 summers ago now, where there was a vaccine company that I don't recall the name of. We'd have to go back and watch the video. It's probably still there. But they were like fudging their data to make it sound like their vaccine worked better than it did. No, it wasn't Pfizer. I don't think so. But anyways, the video's there. We can check it later.
Or maybe it was Moderna.
No, I don't think it was either. I think it was like some third... Or no, it wasn't the vaccines. I'm sorry. It was the
testing.
The testing. Yes, the testing kits. It was a Canadian company. No, it wasn't Pfizer. No. It was some smaller Canadian company. And they were making it sound like their tests were more sensitive than they were. So there was definitely some shady stuff going on during COVID, and
there's a lot of corrupt people making a lot of money.
Yep. And they're, you hear people go, well, why does it matter? You know what? Because for a lot of people, it was very traumatic. I recall, how old would Vincent have been? He was about 3 or 4. And I had some health issues at the time and was told essentially, you have to stay here in your house with your husband and your child, and you can't really go anywhere, and you can't do anything, and you can't see your family. And it really had a profound effect on me. So, and we've seen, I think it was Sweden, that they didn't shut down their society, and they had more success economically, and their death rates were not that much higher than anybody else.
Here's why it matters. Because the people that run these countries, they should be held to a far higher standard than any other person in that society. Why? Because you have a far higher influence on what can actually happen in that country. This is why our current conflict of interest act,
They're not enough. It's not
is
enough.
garbage.
Yeah.
And that's where Democracy Watch says, you know, Duff Conacher says they might as well just call it the almost impossible to commit a conflict of interest act. So this is why it does matter. I'm sorry, if you're in a very influential position, you know, the head of an agency that is managing a massive response to something, and you were doing corrupt stuff, what type of person looks at that and says, yeah, but you know, it doesn't matter? Well, then what does matter in this country?
Yeah.
What rule of law do you care about? And this is the issue. In the United States, in Western society, there is a correct understanding of white-collar crime and that nobody ever goes to jail. And we know that if any one of us had done something,
Similar.
well, not a white-collar, but instead of stealing hundreds of millions of dollars, or instead of committing fraud to give yourself $1 million, you commit fraud against the government to take $10,000, you would have your ass hauled to jail.
Right. Syria will find it and they will hunt you down.
This is what Larry Brock keeps saying. There
Yeah.
should not be two tiers of justice in
Right.
this country. And if we're going to take justice seriously, then let's take it seriously.
Wolverine asks, an interesting idea. Fine politicians for overspending / wasteful spending. It sounds good on paper, but what are your thoughts? I honestly think it would be cleaner just to reduce their budgets. Because they do have budgets. They can't just spend whatever they want. If you have, say, a $10,000 budget for office furniture, well, do you really need $10,000 or can we cut it back to about $8,000?
The way the government works is the government isn't just one giant machine. Well, it technically is. But it's not just one giant organization. It's a giant organization that is made up of individual companies. Each of them has their own budget. Each of them has their own organizational structure. Each of them has an equivalent president and CEO. Why are we not mandating these ministers to actually set performance targets for their agencies? And if they don't meet them, then there's consequences. Why don't we do that? They love doing it in theory, but what these agencies do is they fudge stuff around so that they always seem to be able to get bonuses and they always seem to be able to get raises. There needs to be more respect for the taxpayer dollar.
Yeah.
That should be part of everyday culture when it comes to the government. And what I mean by that is, so in one of the companies I used to work at, and it was called Terranet, I'll try and explain this as quickly and simply as possible. So one of the things that we measure in IT, whether people like to or not, is how well we do changes or upgrade systems or implement new things. So we measure that. And there's a lot of organizations out there, especially IT organizations, that they don't give a crap about that. They will put something in and they will break it and they will say, oh, sucks to be the end user, sucks to be the employees, or sucks to be the customers. And then they just go in and fix it again. And then they break something else. And then they go in there and try and fix it again. And it keeps going and going and going. But in this organization that I worked for, the change success rate, meaning the amount of times that the whole department actually broke something, was on every single employee's performance metric. So if you may do no changes at all, but if the department had a really bad year and they broke things, say 20% of the time, that would impact the amount of money you get.
And it was on the manager too, was it not?
It was on everybody.
Yeah.
So what that meant is, because it was in everybody's financial interest to actually have as high a change success rate as possible means that it was embedded in the culture and everyone took it seriously. And because of that, changes only failed between 1 and 1.5% of the time. It's pretty good when you're doing thousands and thousands of changes a year. So you need to embed respect for the taxpayer dollar in every single one of these companies that is in the federal government. Because I'm telling you, it is not there. When I went in there, I made sure everyone understood in my department. We're respecting the taxpayer dollar. This is your money, folks. And I told the employees that worked there, this is partially your money too. So how about we respect it and spend it wisely? So that's what we need to do. And the question is how. There's lots of different ways that you can talk about that. But they need to figure out a way how to embed respect for the taxpayer dollar into the everyday culture, not of just these agencies, but of every member of parliament. Because too often these people think of it as abstract and they don't think about the people who are skipping meals, the people who can't pay rent, and the people that are sitting at home in tears, 20 years old, because they think they'll never get married, never have a family, and never own a house. That's my rant.
Good rant. Deem Sumius asks, will Pierre run in Sarnia-Lambton in the next election because Marilyn Gladue crossed the floor? So we've been hearing like rumors that he'll run there, or what were some of the other writings for Pierre? Like there's so many different rumors and so many different writings that we're hearing about that I don't think we can really say anything.
We're not going to know until he makes his decision.
Stinger007 asks, why is there no trace of money sent to foreign interests, and why can the Prime Minister have the Governor General authorize funds without public scrutiny or debate in the House? So the second thing is that
it's already approved in a budget.
Yeah, so if they say, okay, we're going to spend $100 million on foreign aid, that's already been approved and debated in the House, and then they kind of decide afterwards where to go because that money's already been allocated. It just hasn't been allocated to a specific country.
Yeah, when it comes to the Governor General, it's just it's a line item that's in every single budget, so they just assume that it's going to be there again. And I imagine most people, they look at it and say, you know what, there's more important things to be getting in a tizzy about other than the Governor General. So, and
the other thing I was going to say is that the Governor General will authorize funds to Parliament under very specific circumstances. They did that right after Carney got elected, where they had to keep renewing. Do you remember what it was called? It was last year. We did some videos on it.
Well, they had to do a supply vote, and it was to basically make payroll to be able to allow Parliament to continue paying the public servants, to allow otherwise the government would shut down.
Like all government, passports, the mint, the MPs, everything.
Yeah, so I think it's like a writ of something. Anyway,
it's very specific though. They can't do it all the time.
Now, back to my rant that I just made. Do I think that the Governor General should be spending $80,000 a year on dry cleaning? No. Do I think she should get a $200,000 clothing allowance? Heck no.
Don't they get a stipend after they're no longer Governor General? Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure Franco said that to us.
Yeah, and that's what Mary Simon's getting.
Yeah, so... Revisades asks, I think this has been asked before, but how difficult is it to get stuff in camera, etc., to be revealed via an Access to Information Act? It is impossible. They will not release that information for the next 30 years.
Well, there is no information.
Yeah.
That's the catch, right?
It doesn't exist, right?
So there's still some things that survive in camera, but it... You'll never know exactly what they talked about. Basically, you'll see, a motion was passed or something. You won't see that a motion was made. You won't even see a motion even was made unless it passed. So. Yeah.
There's just a few more that we can get through. Deem Sumius asks, the Star has put out a cartoon drawing of Pierre failing to negotiate trade with Trump. Should we tell Liberal voters to simply give Pierre a chance at PM? That whole cartoon thing was just so idiotic.
It makes no sense.
It does not make sense at all.
Because it's literally Mark Carney. So what, if they're wondering why Pierre is talking about it, it's because reporters are asking him. Reporters are saying, well, what would you do differently? He's like, well, this is what I would do. It's like Pierre hasn't failed to get a deal with Trump because he's not
It's
able
not his
to.
job, right? It's not his job. It's the prime minister's job. But honestly, I think we should tell Liberal voters to give him a chance. You know, you hear all these rumors and all these horrible things about Pierre, and none of it's true. I mean, we've spoken to him how many times, and you know, he's been on the show a number of times, and he's just a great person.
Yeah.
Sandra asks, will you be live streaming or covering any of the Allison inquiry to be held by MP Dean Allison in September?
Potentially.
Maybe. Yeah, we were actually speaking to him yesterday, was it?
Yep.
Yeah, and the media, again, is taking this and turning it into something it's not, because when we were speaking with Dean, his concern is he wants to hear from people who something went wrong, whether it's a health issue or
People that need to tell their story.
yeah. And then he wants to make sure that those people get the benefits that are available through the government, whatever they happen to be. I don't necessarily know, but he wants to make sure that they have access to benefits and that they are able to get them easily instead of having to go through a whole bunch of red tape. It's all about the benefits. It's not about dragging, you know, the medical science through the mud or anything like that. It's about these horrible things happen to people for whatever reason and they need help. How do we get them that help? Next question is from Samson Ram. It says, how is ungraded beef from Australia and Mexico flooding our market, especially given we are a beef producing country and the shipping costs from these foreign countries?
Watch our interview with John Barlow. He answers that question. The short answer is that we've had droughts, and so the herds have had to have been maintained at a much smaller capacity.
Yeah.
So that's why there's not as much Canadian beef, because they haven't been able to actually maintain larger herds because of those droughts.
Yeah, and I think that's the big issue. And then another issue is that the provincial trade barriers that Carney allegedly removed do not include food.
Nope.
So when we're getting beef here in Ontario from Alberta, it's tariffed to come across the country.
We're taxing
it's
ourselves.
ridiculous.
We're taxing ourselves.
And if we want to send Niagara wine out to BC, well, they're getting taxed on that. Like, it's ridiculous.
Right? Even though Mark Carney tries to tell everybody all the interprovincial trade barriers are gone. No, they're not.
Does not include food. Peter Witten asks, this is light. Hypothetically, who would replace Carney as the Liberal leader? You would need a real jerk with no moral compass.
Well, there's Karina Gould. She's the only one left.
Yeah, because the others in the race just are not
Dominic
around.
LeBlanc. He may try and step forward. The Chihuahua. He may try. I would say step up, but he would need to take a couple of steps up.
Brutal.
Yeah. So there's some off the top of my head.
All right, that's it. Awesome. Good
All
questions, guys. I love question period. It's so much fun. And unlike the actual question period in Parliament, we give you an answer.
All right. YouTube has scrubbed some from me. So
Okay, I will keep you honest.
keep YouTube honest.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully refreshing brings some.
So the
of
first one I have is from Damien McNeil, the red one.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Okay. So thank you to Damien McNeil with a $100 super chat.
Thank you very, very much.
It says, a message from a friend's trapline in the boreal forest of natural carbon capture in northern Alberta, 300 kilometers north of Fort McMurray. Thank you for all you do. Do you know anyone with a scrench? That's a wrench/screwdriver for a power saw. No, I can't say that I do.
Sounds like no, I don't know.
I'm trying to picture this thing in my head. I'm going to have to look it up later.
But I'm actually pleasantly surprised to see that some of the media is actually asking the question, aren't we actually a, carbon neutral country given all of the
Trees?
trees that we have? So I'm actually interested to see this. So
Leonard
LS for $5. What kind of data would the government be collecting from us with Bill C-34? Will the bill be challenged in court? This is deplorable. So many of the bills that have been rammed through, expect them to see challenged in court.
And you may see folks from the Canada Constitution Foundation or the
Canadian Civil Liberties Association, the JCCF.
Yep. You might see any of these associations fighting these bills. So if you do see one that's fighting a bill that you are interested in, most of them are registered charities or registered nonprofits, and you can always make a donation if that's something you like to do.
We have Libby T for $10. Carney says the provinces are united, yet still no interprovincial trade, something he said would happen during the election. Right. And the provinces are not united on the direction of, the latest tariffs as well. So, yeah, they're so united that they're not. And he just got Doug Ford pissed at him because he told Doug Ford, hey, Dougie, if you support the Alto rail, I'll let you expand Billy Bishop Airport. And then Doug said, oh, okay, Carney, no problem. And then guess what happened? Mark Carney said, no, you can't expand Billy Bishop Airport. And then Dougie got ticked, and now all of these MPPs or MLAs and for other provinces are now coming out, talking about how everyone hates the Alto line. Like, totally united. Trust me, bro.
Are you looking? Sorry.
I was looking at what you're doing.
Yeah, Randy sent me a picture of a scrunch.
Oh.
That's interesting.
Rose A's for $5. There is no database, and this is just like all of them. That is not vulnerable to being hacked. The data vacuum bills are horrifying, in my opinion. Yeah, any IT guy with their salt is looking at some of this legislation, and they're saying, my God.
Well,
because, go ahead.
I was going to say, you wrote a brief for Bill C-22 and didn't have the opportunity to write one for C-34 because they ran that one through the House so fast.
So, yeah, it's concerning. It's concerning. I just want to see. I want to double check something.
You might be able to write a brief for the Senate, though.
Yeah, C-34 isn't through yet.
Oh, it's not through yet?
No.
Well, I guess I know what you're going to be doing.
And maybe I should write it now, and then if they do happen to have witnesses, maybe I'll be able to talk about it. So
it has to get assigned to a committee before you can send it, though.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It has to get to C2, but I should have it ready.
Yeah, for sure.
So next, we have Myron Ends dropping 10 memberships. Thank you very, very much for that. Theorica, member for 24 months. Are 40% hate watching or just lazy? Ha, sub folks. Well, we do know a certain percentage of that is liberals, so because we see some of their comments. What did you do?
What did who do?
Oh yeah, Mark Garrettson's eyebrows for $7. If Mark Garrettson was watching, this is what he would say.
How dare you?
But is this really Mark Garrettson's eyebrows?
You sure about that? Right.
Anyway, it's SK. Excellent name. Guys, I'm very nervous about who is in the CPC. If they do win, will they actually do the things needed? I am not sure. I'm not too concerned about that because there's a lot of strong people with integrity in there.
Yeah.
Like people like Larry Brock.
Our MP, Ned Curick. He is so focused on community service. Like,
he doesn't mess around.
No, like he wants to make sure that when people come to his office and they need help with something, that they get the help that they need and they get it in a efficient and friendly manner.
He doesn't care who they voted for.
No, he's just like, I'm here to serve the community and that's my job.
So, and I'll be making sure that they do that too. So don't worry. And Randy from Northern Perspective.
Randy! Have you been hanging out with Randy?
For $5, data centers in people's home. It's one graphics card and they run it in people's homes. They pay you a stipend for your power bill. Not worth in my opinion. Okay, so really that's it?
That's dumb. I wouldn't do it.
Okay, so that's okay. Yeah. Am I gonna do that?
Chances are near zero.
Spike and Mikey 33 for 31 months. This family only bigger and stronger. Amen to that. Peter Witten for $2. Alberta is a perfect spot for racks. Cool weather. Oh yeah, I agree. Northern Alberta. There you go. Ravi Sadies for $5. The point of a data center is having all the IT bits in one place, interlinked with enterprise networking all. A tiny one in a house defeats that purpose. I don't disagree. Woofers SS for $20. Rack servers are noisy because of their cooling fans. Yes, they are. Certainly don't want one in your desk or even in the room next door. Yeah, like the NP PC, I think there's 10 fans in it. So,
And I can hear it sitting here. Like, I'm surprised you guys don't hear it, or maybe you do.
and I if you remember, you've watched the case. The case I specifically bought is to keep the noise down. It's literally made by a manufacturer called Be Quiet. So I'm not even joking. HD Day for $5. I have no doubt Carney was given state secrets to China, but an investigation will likely never happen.
You never know. You never know. There have been a few MPs in this country's history that have been arrested and convicted of things, so you never know.
Rabbit Saves for $10. This is one of the things that concerns me. Sure, the cons can get in and fix all the horrible laws, but structurally things like the RCMP and CSIS need to be fixed and set so they cannot be unfixed. Yeah, it's still possible, but you're right, it's a big job. And you can't just snap your fingers and then all of a sudden the RCMP is changed. But, you know, CSIS was created from one prime minister, so you can make changes. You just have to have the political will to do some of the stuff. And that's the number one enemy of positive progress in this country is political will and political courage.
Yeah, because if you're elected as a conservative government, let's say, and you know the country needs X, but it's going to be unpopular with your voters, well, do you do X because it's good for the country? Or do you not do X because then you will still win votes next election?
Remember when some prime minister implemented something called the GST?
I remember that.
And he was lambasted for it by all of the liberals. The GST's still here because now it's money.
Yeah. Additional revenues.
It was supposed to pay down the debt. Apparently not. Philip Edmondson for $10. Treason and mutiny, as Tanya has said, very specific definitions with extreme punishments. Mutiny still has the death penalty.
Oh, interesting.
Follows extreme claims require extreme proof or evidence.
That's interesting. I got to look up that mutiny one because that's crazy. I thought we completely abolished the death penalty.
Could be one of these out of date laws. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Sometimes they just leave things on the books and they don't bother to get rid of them.
And mutiny does not count you taking the boat because your driver got drunk on a fishing trip. So it doesn't count. Myron ends for $20. I'd like to see Jagmeet actually light a proper campfire after setting up a tent and sleep in it for a night. He also needs to cook breakfast. Yeah, and well, first he needs to understand the difference between apples and potatoes.
To be fair, though, it's very similar in French.
I don't care. I don't care. His first language is English. Granite Man for $10. Carney doesn't care about polls. His job is to destroy Canada, democracy, re-wef. He hasn't moved from any of his positions due to polls or popularity. He knows Liberal voters stick with him no matter what. I would challenge that. Why is he going for a pipeline then?
Yeah, it looks like they're not sticking with him no matter what, though, based on the charts we were looking at earlier.
He got rid of the carbon tax, which he was emphatically in favor of. Well, he got rid of the consumer carbon tax. So if he was standing by his extreme principles, he wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have gone for their pipeline. And he wouldn't have actually pilfered some of the conservative platform. So I would challenge that. But he's certainly not going to accomplish anything positive for the country at this rate. Real Stephen Jensen for $20. Most in Alberta now think Danielle Smith will resign in October around referendum to run for Pierre Poilievre's job. It's the only thing that makes sense with her turnaround supporting Carney. So just think about that. Her turnaround supporting Carney. I don't think that would make her very popular if she was trying to run for Pierre Poilievre's job. Just my opinion.
Well, and Pierre Poilievre is in his job, right? It's not vacated. He's the leader. So, and from everything we've heard, I mean, he's going to remain the leader.
The only way, so here's what happens, in my opinion, in our opinion. If, let's say, there is no Reform Act and Pierre Poilievre resigns, this is the only way the party doesn't like split down in the middle. So let's say Pierre Poilievre resigns. You know what happens about 24 hours after that? Mark Carney calls an election. That's what'll happen.
Yeah. And then we'll have to appoint somebody, and that's undemocratic. And we'll be going into an election with an appointed leader
With
and
no platform.
a lot of conservatives will not like that, us included. So I really do not see it happening. Is it possible? I suppose, but I don't think it's probable.
Is there a path for Danielle Smith to run as the leader of the Conservative Party later?
Maybe.
Sure. No problem. Is that wise to do now? I think it's incredibly unwise to do it now. Plus, a normal leadership race, that'll be at least a year. Do we really think Mark Carney's not going to call an election within a year? With that happening, I don't trust him. And if any of these conservatives would trust Mark Carney would not call an election during that, I wouldn't want you running the party then. So, but you know what? We could be wrong. We could be completely wrong. And maybe that's exactly how it plays out. But I don't see that happening. Especially, as somebody pointed out, Danielle Smith has come out and said, I have no interest in moving to federal politics. So, is she lying? Well, if she is lying, then that's even worse. So, I would be surprised. I would be surprised. Megaman Zero for $5. The right to not incriminate yourself. Can we change it to the right to not doing crimes and not be criminal instead? Can't incriminate, no crime. So the intent of it, I believe, is more not to prove that you actually did a crime, but to open yourself up to the interpretation or cause the state to incriminate you, whether you did something or not. Mm-hmm. So,
well, I mean, it's the same reason why lawyers advise don't speak directly to the police, speak to your lawyer first, because
you can incriminate yourself unknowingly.
Yeah, you could be totally innocent and just say something stupid, and now you're the main suspect.
Yeah, so but I agree, don't do crimes in the first place, but
yeah,
that's the intent of it, right? So it's so that you're afforded due process and the state can't just throw you in jail. Rose says for $5. Wait, you're telling me those COVID tests, Randy? Oh,
Randy! Have you been hanging out with Randy?
Strong Ego Man, then that was his name. Boissonneau brought into Canada with the cocaine didn't work well. Shocked.
I don't know if it was those ones specifically. Thank you to Randy for looking this up in the background while we were talking. They were the BTNX Rapid Response COVID-19 antigen rapid test kits. And the company was here in Ontario. I think it was in Pickering, if I'm not mistaken.
Granite Man for $5. Carney and WEF is now going after Poilievre using stooge, Ford, etc. to weaken Conservatives. Ford done nothing for Ontario. Another Carney stooge. Don't disagree with that at all.
Don't disagree.
I don't disagree with that at all. We have Confused Blue Jay fan. Yeah, we're all Confused Blue Jay fans. For $5. Do you think a Nuremberg trial needs to happen for all governments and forcing all citizens to take the vaccines? The shots never worked. It was theft. So the issue I have is that when they were initially talking about the vaccines, Tanya and I had the exact same understanding, and I think all of Canadians had the same understanding for these vaccines as well, in that the actual effect of the vaccine would immunize you against the virus.
Right. Like polio, for example.
So we're like, okay, can't wait for the vaccine. And then they said, well, it doesn't actually immunize you. It just reduces the symptoms and it reduces the effect. I'm like, well, that doesn't sound like a vaccine then. So this is the biggest problem I had. And the other issue is all of these quote unquote policies, they didn't, I don't know, you can argue whether or not they actually served to reduce transmission or not, but they destroyed people's lives.
Yeah.
So I think it is valid for people to ask questions. I think it's valid to say, you need to justify now why you made these decisions, especially now that we know that certain people knew different things back then.
Yeah. And the other thing is we need that information so that we can be better prepared next time, because I mean, pandemics are as old as human history, right? They come around every so many years, and we need to be prepared for the next one because we were not prepared for this one, quite frankly.
And if it was found, and Randy Boissonneau is one of these people where you go, if it was found that politicians were profiting off of the policies that we're putting in when it came to the pandemic, throw your ass in jail.
Yeah, like profiteering is not cool, especially when people are suffering.
So, you know, but again, the government wants to demonize anyone who's asking questions. Well, guess what? It's our right to ask questions, and it's our right to get actual answers from them. But this is just an example of the Liberals being, you know, thinking they're the masters and we're the servants.
Yeah.
So I don't know, you know, if you need some sort of Nuremberg thing, and it wasn't just Canada, happened in the US as well.
Yeah, there needs to be inquiries into the behavior of government officials, into again, like what mistakes were made so that we can learn from them for next time, because there will be a next time. It is part of human history. There will be a next time. There will be a pandemic.
Well, and again, you know, people over exaggerate the state of Canada and that it's just like China. No, China literally bolted people and nailed them into their houses.
Yeah.
So, so there was issues all over the world with governments and what they were doing. Now the governments will say, well, you know, we did the best we could. Not good enough.
Well, and again, look at the data. What went wrong, what went right, and make sure you have a plan in place for next time. It's funny because I think we've mentioned this a few times before, where our old neighbor was our old MP, and he knew somebody who was working at a company, and like this guy's role in the board was to be he was like the pandemic preparedness guy, and everybody would make fun of him, right? Because like, what are you even doing here? You don't need to be here, blah, blah, blah. And then when COVID came around, they actually had a plan in place for their company on how it would continue functioning through a pandemic. And that's what countries need. Countries need a plan on how are things going to keep functioning during a pandemic.
Oh yeah, ventilators sold as scrap, and we spent millions and millions and millions of dollars on them. You know, heat pumps. Heat pumps. Oh yeah, Brookfield. So there's a lot of crazy stuff.
Thank you to Nancy with a $7 super chat. It says, I'm perplexed. A dangerous and divided world means that Carney needs a vacay while Canada burns. Oh, wait, not that much? Which is it? Yeah.
Great question.
Well, and that's like the say-do ratio, right? If you're saying that Canada's in this dangerous and divided world, but then you're going to soccer games and pretending like nothing's wrong, say-do ratio is 0.
Peter Whitten for $20. It's municipal election time in Ontario. For Pete's sake, vote Peter Whitten for deputy mayor. Hey, there you go. I hope you're actually running. Ask not what the township of Chatsworth can do for you, but rather what together we can do for the township of Chatsworth.
I love it. Thank you. That's awesome.
Jessica Van Luke for $7. Wyatt Claypool is running in the nomination race for Calgary Curry for next year's provincial election. If you're running in that riding, vote for Wyatt.
Awesome.
Yeah, he told us on he told us that a little while ago. We weren't going to break his news without
Without permission.
without him doing it. So
That's awesome.
You know, get involved. Get out there. Say, you know, I don't like what's going on. I'm getting involved. So good luck to you in your
And
nomination.
that's exactly it. You know, it's like that speech we gave in Kitchener where you just, the power of one person. What can one person do? One person can do a lot, and you inspire the people around you, and then they can do a lot and inspire the people around them. And that's how we fix this country.
Carol Rayon for $5. Thanks for a great stream, Ryan and Tanya. Off to visit family this week for the civic holiday. Any ideas on a better name for the August holiday?
Don't they call it Louis Riel Day in Quebec?
Not sure.
I think so. Maybe. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But I don't know, naming it after someone would probably be better than just calling it the civic holiday.
Let's put together a petition to call it National Impedation Day. Northern Perspective has granted Canada a holiday. There you go. So, no, the real day is
Oh,
February
it's in
15th.
February. Oh, it's Family Day. That's, yeah, okay. That's still better than Family Day, though.
Yeah.
It's such a weird name for a holiday. Family Day.
Jim Volk, member for 20 or 33 months. Could you give my free chat more than 50 characters? I would, but YouTube.
We're not able to.
That's up to YouTube.
If anybody's having issues with their free chats not giving you the proper number of characters or however many you need, you can just tag a moderator with your message.
No. Jessica and Luke for $7. Smith is not going after Pierre. It's all fake news and people looking for attention. Yeah. I'll finish this. Pierre would definitely be very vocal if it were true. Here's what I think this is.
He's got the glasses on.
This is just one more way for people to try to say that the Conservative Party is falling apart.
Oh, that they're infighting and this and that. Yeah.
And it just creates more drama. And Pierre and Danielle, at least publicly, are pretty tight. And in my opinion, this would be a way for people like Corey Tenike and these
and who's the other guy, Nick or something?
These fake conservatives.
Yeah.
To try to drive a wedge between Danielle and Pierre. If they are really trying to get rid of Pierre, they're trying to cut him off from anyone that is actually on good terms with him. This would be a way to do it. Start all these rumors that Danielle Smith is coming for his job. And then hoping that the more Danielle says to him, Pierre, I'd never do that. I'd never do that. The more Pierre mistrusts her.
It's like an abusive relationship, really.
Yeah. So this is what I think is actually happening. Because here's the thing. If Danielle Smith were actually going to do that, do you think this would be advertised?
Probably not.
Probably not. So the fact that it is, that's the conclusion I've just actually come to after reading your super chat. So I didn't even mean to take off my glasses, but for some reason that happened.
You know Ryan's serious when he takes off his glasses.
Fickle Knot for $7. What exactly do Olivia Child, Doug Ford, and David Eby do? Right? That's the question.
What is it that you do?
They waste taxpayers' money.
Yes.
That's the answer.
And Kimmer, remember for 31 months, ventilator sold a scrap, and that's what gave me the thought before. And E. Phoenixon, welcome back to NP supporter and confused Blue Jay fan for $5. The shots weren't vaccines; it was gene therapy, and they are on record. They never tested the shot, so in my opinion, it was an experiment.
No, that's not true. There were people who were participating in the Pfizer study and all that stuff. So it was a proper clinical trial.
Well, but it didn't run as long as normal clinical trials.
No, that's not necessarily true either. What had happened, I guess, allegedly, is that they had so many people volunteering that they were able to just grab people as needed instead of having to spend like 4 months trying to find participants for the study.
Well, anyway, it ended up causing complications for some people.
Yep.
That's the whole point of the Allison inquiry. And the vaccine didn't do what it was advertised to the world that it was going to do, which made all of these policies not make any sense whatsoever.
Or at least it didn't do it as efficiently as they claimed. Right. Now, any medical procedure or medicine even has its risks. Like, for example, coming from the veterinary world, there's a particular type of cancer that certain cats can get from the rabies vaccine, but the incidence of this happening is so small, and the benefits far outweigh the risk, because if your cat gets rabies, unfortunately your cat is dead, right? Like there's no cure for rabies, and they can give it to you. Again, no cure in humans either, so then you're dead. So the benefits vastly outweigh the risk of that cancer, and so that's why we proceed with it.
Anyway, folks, I think that's it. So, because we got to get ready for
We have an interview tomorrow,
some
hopefully.
stuff tomorrow. So we'll see what happens, and if we get lucky, we'll get an interview later this week. But we'll see what happens. So thank you. Great discussion, everybody. You know, we agree on things, we disagree on things, but the great thing is we can agree to disagree and not hate each other by the end of this. So, so thank you, everybody, for coming out. Thanks for watching, and this crazy world called politics is just going to heat up a little bit. So please watch the recut of this tomorrow. I said that last time, and then like news broke of something else, and then we didn't even get to do the recut. So, but
and for those of you that are members, we are going to have a new video sometime this week, and that's going to be the questions.
The Barlow hits, the Barlow anxiety. So, anyway, folks, thank you very much. Have a good night, and we will see you in the comments.
Take care.
Our fathers fought so our voices could be free, that thought and conscience would not bow to decree those rights and only if we choose to take a stand without compromising truth. This land is more than headlines, more than noise and rage. We cut through all the chaos line by line, page by page. MP Nation, raise your voice tonight. Every province, every distant sky, we stand for something. We don't step aside. Truth in our hands, hope in our eyes. MP Nation, this is where we rise. No corner of this country stands alone. What we ignore still shapes the road back home. Power grows when people step aside. We move forward and be nationwide. From the coastlines to the prairies, mountain shadow, harbor rain, we carry all these stories, turn the fear into a flame. NP Nation, raise your voice tonight. Every province, every distant sky, we stand for something. We don't step aside. Truth in our hands, hope in our eyes. NP Nation, this is where we rise. We've been bruised, but we're breathing. Yeah, the work cuts deep. Still we answer every morning for the true north, strong and free. Canada, you're worth the struggle. Every question, every call. We're exhausted, but we're upright. We refuse to watch you fall. NP Nation, raise your voice tonight. Every province, every distant sky, we stand for something. We don't step aside. Truth in our hands, hope in our eyes. NP Nation, this is where we rise. Freedom thrives when truth is on our side. When we resist despair and the power that divides, so we step forward.